Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with Andrew Velez, Joel Dehls, and this is now episode 191. In this episode, we're going to talk about KD's trade request, the Jets offseason with DJ, a potential Subway series, reacting to Deshaun Watson's hearing and giving our predictions for the NFC North, and a quick YouTube member and Patreon shout out to Phantom Wolf, Danko Hawkins, Matthew Jimenez, Nick, Achapa, Vincent, Kobe, Jordan, Tua is amazing, love you, Drew, Traylon Burks, Rookie of the Year, MG Nas, UK Bulls, J Love Clear, Zach W, Cole Larson, Darius Garland's next, Alexander, Nazir, Dwayne, Rivers a gorgeous man, Travis, Drew's the GOAT, Holmes, Nairi, your boy Nick, Jake the Snake, Corrupt, I'm talking about Mr. Moran, Dylan, Afosa, Mason, win in silence and make them think you're losing, Gentile, Drew, Cade MVP, Mark, SP4Z Shot, Jordan Watt, Evan, Dylan, Joel is the GOAT, Mayo, Andre, Peter, Daniel, Ben, Ruthless Rootster, Kill Moves, Joel B, Eagle Dollar, Tizzy, Corey, Get Funkoed, Dylan, Playboy, Orlando, Big Chuck, Michael, Cole, Liam, T Grove 17, Tua Sucks on Ka, Ryan, Epic Lankiness, It's Black Ace, Anthony, BJ, PJs, Langston, Jazzy Juice, Johannes, Dave, Muffins, John, Sean Triplet, Burner Hoops, Court Cousins, P. Hikari, and Jay Aqua.
Good old Jay Aqua. Let's get into it, y'all.
So now we know who was it about.
That was hilarious.
Nah, that was crazy.
That was hilarious.
Did you hear it last episode?
Yeah, I did.
I'm sure everyone did.
Is this Steph Curry poster new?
It is new.
So I haven't been here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
you got Surge comment on all of my Boom Fantasy, shout out Boom Fantasy TikTok saying Joel left, pick a side. Joel left, pick a side.
The guy doesn't quit, man.
I'm not here for 2 weeks.
He
I
is
don't know
persistent.
How to act.
I know.
His basketball's just been busting.
It really has. It really has.
It's been a great couple.
So
of weeks.
is Curry? He's officially taken over the new Kobe. You understand what I'm saying by that? Like when you shoot a paper in a basket, you don't yell Kobe no more. I feel like
it's still Kobe. I think for me, it's
but
still
I feel
Kobe.
like that's what this is representing right now.
Okay, I didn't even think about it like that.
I just bought it because it looked cool.
I mean, of
I
course.
didn't think about it that much. I'll be honest. But we have a special guest on the show, DJ, who covers the New York Jets or used to cover the New York Jets on New York Daily News. We appreciate you for coming on the show, man.
100%, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. We supposed to, have this happen earlier in the week, but things happen. But I'm a man of my word, so here we are.
Real.
Yes, sir. And we were
Appreciate
going
you.
to talk about the Jets, and had Kevin Durant not requested a trade, that would have happened. That was one of the top destinations. You're right.
I don't want to hate Miami. We don't need that. We don't need that at all.
But Kevin Durant requested a trade. Now let's brainstorm, where he can possibly go. I know his preferred destinations are the Suns and the Heat, but just give me your quick thoughts on what did you think about him requesting a trade and where he can go. DJ, I'll start with you because you are really on this KD to Miami bandwagon, but what are your thoughts on him requesting a trade all in all?
I think it's just more that shows that the Nets organization is I don't use the word laughing stock, but like there's a lot of like toxicity and dysfunction within it, that make KD want to just get away from it. And I think it stems not even, like a lot of it starts with Kyrie, but just like how the Nets kind of handled that entire situation too, right? Where like you have a firm, all right, you can't be a part-time player, either you get the shot or not, and then they change your mind. That kind of once that happened, you saw how that kind of like threw a lot of things out of the loop, you know what I'm saying? Then obviously the James Harden trade, yada, yada, yada. So KD wants to get out of there and go to a place where he can win. The best place for that is obviously the Miami Heat. So I'm just hoping that happens. You know what I'm saying? If he goes to the Heat, I'm gonna be unbearable on Twitter.
What's that package looking like?
That's a fact. That's what I'm curious about too, because it's either you lose Bam or you lose Jimmy. I'm sure you don't want to lose either. That's not a thing you want.
Right. So I think they can give up Bam, but they have to take back Simmons because just some contract stuff or whatever.
Okay.
I feel Bobby Marks from ESPN talked about it, but like if that's what it takes to get KD, I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's Kevin Durant. It's Kevin Durant.
I mean, to be honest, like the Heat, I don't know who can beat the package surrounding like Bam and Hero and then like some draft picks. I don't know who can beat that package. Like I'm just honest. Like maybe
Unless
like
the Celtics offer
Sun-
Jaylen Brown. That's the only thing I could think
Oh
of.
yeah. Right. But they're not gonna do that.
You're doing that? You're doing that?
I don't think. I think you have to add on to this core we have.
I agree.
don't think you split it up and trade JB.
If you
Plus,
get
you can
KD,
get
do it,
picks
though.
too.
If
It's
you get
not. But the
KD.
thing is, if
If it's-
they're willing to give up JB, it's gonna be more than just JB. It's
Yeah,
gonna be JB
sure.
and picks
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some role players. Like
Keep
it's not
that
just
core
him.
together. Keep that core
I
together.
agree.
Yes.
Like we were just
Keep that
2
core
games
together.
away from winning the finals. I think you add on to the Celtics core. You don't break it up, even if you can get Kevin Durant, because we've seen multiple times KD will leave out of the blue, out of nowhere, when you're expecting him to stay, expecting him to be an integral part of your organization. When Tatum and JB have shown we want to be here, we want to ride for Boston.
The only package I feel like that rivals Miami would be the Phoenix Suns. You have DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, maybe Cam Johnson.
Right.
I'm not too sure if that's
Right.
what you want to add in. Multiple first-round picks. That's the only one
Yeah.
that really rivals Miami's as of right now. But to speak to a little bit of what you were saying about the Nets and them not, you didn't want to go as far to say that they were sorry. It's looking pretty bad for them. Now, let's go look at the picks that they have to get, that they did give up to acquire James Harden.
They're gonna be a hell.
2023 first-round pick swap, 2024 first-round pick, 2025 first-round pick swap, 2026 first-round pick, 2027 first-round pick swap. Every single one of these are unprotected. The Nets are going to be in hell for years to come.
I tweeted this. They made the Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce trade twice.
They're the
same
only
thing.
franchise
They
that
did
can
the same
do something
thing
like
twice.
this. And you look at it from this perspective. Yes, 100% I'm with you. If Miami gets them, they're scary. If Phoenix gets them, it's scary. I'm not trying to think of situations right now where KD would go and he'd automatically make them better. I'm trying to not think about that. Where I want Kevin Durant to go is Portland. You add Kevin Durant to this Portland squad that's clearly been trying to do everything they can to benefit Damian Lillard. All their offseason moves have been singly done to benefit Damian. And by bringing Kevin Durant to Portland, there's ways that they can make this happen. They could trade, their draft picks that they just acquired this year. They can trade future assets that they acquired. My point being is Damian Lillard has been so loyal to the city of Portland. He deserves this. And you pair Kevin Durant with Damian Lillard, that's an intriguing duo. Becomes immediately one of the best duos in the league. He goes to Phoenix. If I'm going to be honest, I'm not in love with it, just for the fact that you're losing Mikal, you're losing Ayton. Yes, you'd have a great. Is Booker going to be in that deal too? Like, there's conversations with that.
They
like,
just gave
the
Booker
whole
$200 million.
The whole point would be to have Booker, KD, and yes, Chris Paul is getting older, but regardless of that fact, he's shown a great amount of longevity. That three would be great, but I do worry about the defensive side of the ball, especially when you're giving him Mikal.
Ultimately, I'm annoyed that he requested a trade.
I don't disagree at all.
Because he just signed a 4-year max contract, and then without even playing a year of his contract, he's requesting a trade already. I thought when Kyrie opted into his deal, he was going to stay in Brooklyn. They were going to try to run it back one more year.
For sure.
And the reason why I don't like it is because I feel like every decision Kevin Durant makes, at least in terms of where he's going to play basketball, outside of Golden State, has been a terrible decision. Because you go to Brooklyn to team up with Kyrie Irving, it doesn't work out in the way that you want it to work out in. And now you're requesting a trade, and your top two destinations are the Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat. This current Brooklyn Nets roster is better than what the Suns would look like if they trade for KD and lose DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson, and Mikal Bridges.
I don't hate that take.
What is going on?
I don't hate that take.
100% a fact.
I don't hate that
Would you
take.
rather have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, Joe Harris, a good like Bruce Brown, good role players,
Seth
Curry, or would you rather go to Phoenix and it's just KD, Booker, Chris Paul, who last time in the playoffs we saw him, he was sorry
He looked his
for
age.
4 to 5 games.
For the first time in a while, he looked his age.
And then you don't have any center. Who is it? Bismack Biyombo? JaVale, he's a free agent currently.
Facts.
You have no
He's probably
wing
not coming
depth.
back either.
Like, your starting lineup is Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Jay Crowder. I don't know who starts at the 5. And the depth is just completely shot. You're relying on Landry Shamet and Cam Payne. That's why, to me, I think he has a better shot to win with the Nets, with this roster, than with the Suns. And on top of that, if Kevin Durant goes to the Suns, I don't put them over the Clippers with Kawhi and PG. Kawhi and PG is a better duo than KD and Devin Booker. And they have more depth than the Suns. And then you look at the Warriors.
I don't know about that.
The Warriors are not going anywhere. And don't sleep on Dallas to get Kyrie Irving either.
I thought you were just going to say Christian Wood, just him and Luka.
No, don't sleep on Dallas to get Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I did see that with Brunson leaving.
But do you feel the same way about? I feel like if he went to Miami, regardless of what they'd give up, they are super deep.
They would get Ben Simmons back though. And
True.
honestly, I trust Miami because Miami has shown that every year they manage to get role players out of guys who come out of nowhere.
One of the best
Gabe
organizations there is.
Vincent, Max Strus.
And they just re-signed Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, that's a very good move. I think that's a very good move. That's why for me, it just makes no sense from a basketball standpoint to leave Brooklyn. I don't know what happened. I don't know why he requested a trade. But it just feels like everything's going downhill for the Nets. I'm pretty happy about that as a Knicks fan. But also, I feel like it all starts with making Steve Nash the head coach. I feel like if Ty Lue was their current head coach, this does not happen.
Well, the Nets said they don't need to be coached. Kyrie and KD said we don't need a coach. We could figure it out by ourselves.
Was KD a part of that?
It was Kyrie, but KD was on the call. I guess he was kind of like saying you're bugging, but
and
he
my
didn't say no.
my guy right now, James Harden, looks like a genius for getting out of that situation early. He knew it was coming. He goes to Philly. He's finally going to have an offseason to really get into his workout regimen.
MVP Harden's back.
He's going to be an all-NBA performer next year. They just added DeAnthony Melton, the one of the best 3-and-D players in the league, and PJ Tucker. I mean, come on. Philly's going to win a championship next year. That's what I'm going with right now.
So let's say the KD gets traded to the Heat. What's that starting five look like? And if it is that starting five, are they the favorites in the East?
Well, Kyle Lowry,
Jimmy
Jimmy Butler,
KD.
Max Strus, KD, and maybe like Yurtseven at the 5.
They're 5. What do you think, DJ?
Or Bam. I mean, not Bam, or Simmons. I mean, like.
Yeah, if
Or
they get
if you get
Simmons, yeah.
Simmons.
Getting Simmons would be insane.
Does that put you feel confident? I mean, you just took the Celtics to 7, but you got a healthy Bucks team.
I'll tell you what.
Like,
you get KD.
That team win the championship in like 5 games.
If Miami gets KD, they're the favorites to come out of the East.
Yeah.
No. They're the favorites to win the championship.
The West is strong. Golden State's still Golden State. The Clippers are a team to look out for.
The Heat. With
Lakers
KD,
get Kyrie. You're going to hear me chat.
The Heat with KD. Like, that's like.
The Heat with KD.
Nah, he with KD is amazing because he's surrounded by a bunch of really good defenders. Losing PJ definitely hurts more than Heat fans will allow them to believe. And you're losing Bam also, who is one of the most versatile defenders in the NBA.
But Simmons is arguably one of the best.
Fair?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Simmons can
Like,
fill
he
the
was one of
Bam
That's
role.
something that
Yeah.
I just don't think about. Simmons is going to be a part of that trade, which is crazy.
But the Nets probably want to keep Simmons, it sounds like. So
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
What would your team be at
He's
that
the
point?
one person that they like want to keep. So
which is wild to me.
Very on brand for the Nets. However, I
Sucks.
support it as I'm
You're
a Ben Simmons
truther.
supporter.
But
Without
Drew,
a
you hit
doubt.
it right on the money. If I was picking where KD goes, I would say Portland. I think Portland. I love it. I don't know if they win a championship.
I agree.
But I definitely like that brand of basketball more. These are KD trades that I have. So I only have 3 teams. We're not going to go over a lot. So first one is the Suns. It's Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson, and multiple picks. Kevin Durant goes to Phoenix. They now have a big 3 of Chris Paul, KD, and Booker. And now the Brooklyn Nets have a starting lineup of Ben Simmons, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, Joe Harris, Cam Johnson if he starts to come off the bench. Seth Curry could start. That lineup doesn't sound too bad, and I think the Nets can work with that. The next team is the Heat. Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, I think might be involved in that deal, and some picks. And then the Blazers, Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, and picks for KD. You know, the Nets get 2 young players, Shaedon Sharpe, who has arguably the highest upside in his class, and then multiple picks on that. Those are 3 deals that I think are realistic and that could possibly happen, but I don't know where KD goes, quite frankly.
And
like, this is shocking to me.
It's different from a lot of other superstars because we saw the 4-year contract, doesn't have a no trade clause. So 15 plus teams, Woj said, already reached out to the Nets.
Yeah.
It's not like
It's
KD
Kevin
could say, I prefer to go to the Nets or the Suns or the Heat. But at the end of the day, the Nets could take whatever the best package is and send them off.
That's honestly weird that KD didn't have a no trade clause in his contract.
Very weird.
Yeah, usually star players have that, so they can pick where they want to go. That is very.
KD. This is a really good day for me. Really good day for me because I've just been on the side of understanding how little you can trust Kevin Durant and his decision making. Now I do feel bad for Nets fans. Shout out to my guys, Max, Kevin, Sean. Unfortunate, JC, of course. Unfortunate for you guys today. This is not news that you wanted to hear. But I've been trying to tell you guys and warn you guys, you cannot trust Kevin Durant. I mean, it's all he's shown since his time leaving OKC, joining Golden State, betraying Golden State to a degree as well, going to the Nets.
He betrayed himself,
Now,
being honest.
I'm not going to disagree too much
He
about
should
that.
have just came to the Knicks in the first place.
He should have, and this is completely unbiased as well. He should have went to the Boston Celtics when he had the chance.
Yeah, but he would have probably ended up leaving the Celtics too.
Low key. But, I mean, with that young core, the future picks, the future assets that you guys had at the time, KD fits in seamlessly with you guys, and he still could be on the squad right now. Who knows?
Who knows if we even draft Tatum?
You could have.
I know, but also, like, if we had KD, do
right.
we trade
I'm
down
gonna
instead of
disagree.
getting full? Like, who knows what happens
I'm
after
disagree.
that?
While we're talking, I understand that a gazillion free agent moves are happening, but we're definitely going to recap them like towards the end of the show.
No doubt.
Moving on from Kevin Durant and the Nets, DJ's on here because he used to cover the Jets. He's leaving the New York Daily News now. He's not able to announce his next destination, but just want to say you did an amazing job covering the team.
Sure.
Give him a round of applause.
Yeah, he deserves it for sure. You did an amazing job covering the team this past season. And honestly, I'm a big Zach Wilson guy. So I just want to know how he's been looking at in training camp and mini camps. What are you expecting from Zach Wilson this upcoming season?
So like throughout OTAs and stuff like that, I mean, he obviously he looked better in the sense of knowing where to go with the ball, knowing how to read the defense. One thing that the Jets really focused on in offseason was improving his eye placement because that was an issue last year. Like, he knew the plays. It's just, okay, when a certain play is called, where should my eyes go? Not pre-snap, post-snap, yada, yada, but like usually in the Jets offense, they want you to read a specific defender and then go off of that versus like reading like what coverage are they in and then trying to, execute the play through those lens. But no, just read it through the lens of the way Michael Floyd is trying to have you read it. And that was an adjustment for Zach. So I think he did a better job of operating in that setting. What I expect, I don't really expect like this massive leap that a lot of Jet fans are expecting. Like, I'm expecting like him to become like a solid quarterback. And what's funny is like Jet fans are expecting like this massive leap, but like people in the building aren't expecting that. They're expecting a typical progression for a quarterback. So like obviously last year he was very bad, and they're hoping that this year he can become like solid, competent, and then you see where you can go after that, right? So I think that's where they're kind of at right now. So that's kind of what I'm expecting, is him to go from being obviously one of the worst quarterbacks in the league to now being competent.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, DJ, this is not what these two guys wanted to hear at all.
According to who?
No, you're happy to hear that? What he had to say right now?
No, I know what I'm expecting from Zach Wilson. I'm not expecting him to be a top 10 quarterback.
I'm
next
not
year.
saying that.
No,
You're
yeah.
saying that he's
No,
going to be
not
top 10.
It'll be
Just
top
saying
15,
you wanted to
though.
take
Top 15?
Yeah, he has to.
Yeah, I want if he's like a stat line like Carson Wentz was last year.
What I do like to hear from what you're saying is eye placement, 100%. Your eyes during the play need to be drawing the defense away from where your actual read's going to be. 100%. That's a huge part.
No. That's not what they want. They like his eyes need to be where the play is designed for it to be. Right?
Okay.
So like they're reading a specific defender and then going off of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus what you're talking about, that's what he was doing last year.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now.
That's not how this scheme is attacked. I mean, that's not how this scheme attacks defenses.
Okay.
Like, are there some plays where it's going to be like that? Yeah, but like sometimes certain plays, like you don't even need to know where the safety's at. You just need to know where the backers are and then read off of that, or you just need to know what the corner is doing and go off of that. There were just times where Zach would like be looking at like safeties, trying to see what coverage they're in, trying to get all this information, and then try to execute the play pre and post snap. When in reality, you don't need to do all that.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
I want to see Zach Wilson have like 4 or 5 Tennessee Titans games this upcoming year.
That's not
4 or 5.
Yes.
That's just not realistic though.
You don't
4
think
or 5.
so? Well, didn't he had 2 of those? Well, not like
he had
Tennessee.
one of those.
Tennessee
Yeah,
and the
Titans.
Buccaneers.
Tampa
And
Bay,
the
he was
Buccaneers,
good.
he had a
No,
really good
The
game.
Buccaneers game
wasn't
is
like that.
is
I'm
a
not
better
saying
game.
it wasn't Tennessee, but he's saying esque, which I agree. You want him to play up to that
Yeah.
stand.
I'm talking about like I'm watching
Trying
and
to meet in the middle
and
here, man.
I'm watching and I'm
Yeah,
jumping off
like-
of my
I'm sorry.
couch.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean,
It's tough, especially because to Zach Wilson's credit, towards the end of the season, he definitely was a lot smarter with his decision making. We didn't see him turning the ball over at all. So to look at his earlier part of his rookie season, yes, he was horrible. And to compare it to his second half, you will take that, and it's leaving you optimistic towards next season. Where I am excited for this Jets offense is that you guys surrounded him with weapons now, true weapons. Garrett Wilson paired with now Corey Davis, who does not have to be a true number one. That's a responsibility of a top 10 pick in a Garrett Wilson. You can rely on
Elijah Moore's going to be a wide receiver too, I think.
And I didn't even mention Elijah Moore, who has the potential to be a wide receiver one in this offense as well. Braxton Berrios being your wide receiver 4
and we have
is
good
great.
tight ends now.
And Breece Hall being your running back, where Mike Carter, who's a bit undersized at the running back position, does not have to be that every down back. Yeah. Breece is more than capable of being that guy. Surrounding him with those weapons is going to allow Zach to do well.
My realistic expectations for Zach is 24 touchdowns, 9 picks next year.
That's very Carson Wentz.
But how's that top 15 quarterback?
It's not, but projection wise, it can be. I'm just saying, for example, DJ. At the end of the year, I want to be able to confidently say Zach Wilson, he's better than Jalen Hurts.
That's fair.
Why is that the bar though? Jalen Hurts isn't even in the AFC.
Nah, but Jalen Hurts is like the 15th best quarterback in the NFL.
To me, Jalen Hurts is 18th-esque.
That's disrespectful.
He's top 20. I think I want to be able to say Zach Wilson, I see that he's far better than Jalen Hurts.
The most important thing for Zach is going to be consistency. Sure. Because I don't want to fall in the Sam Darnold trap where just like Darnold had great games against the Packers and Cowboys where we have these moments, but overall we just get stuck in this and don't see the 95% where he was terrible. I don't want to fall in the same trap with Zach Wilson. I want him to be consistent week in and week out. Even if he's not putting on 300-400-yard games like he did against Tennessee and these crazy throws, I understand it's amazing. It's 297, excuse me. He just needs to be consistent, be smart with the ball, and show progression through that. But what I wanted to ask you, DJ, we talked right before we started recording. You said, it's June 30th. The Jets are just the Jets, and that's for a lot of reasons. But I think the most unique thing about the Jets is that I think their most popular person isn't even on the team. I think it's Joe Douglas. I know we have Colin Cowherd going on his radio show saying the Jets got a superstar. It's their GM. So what is he like when you're asking him questions at the podium or at the draft? What's just kind of his persona, his personality? What made him so special?
Yeah, he's pretty sly. You know what I'm saying? He won't reveal anything for the most part. He's really good at navigating everything and talking in generalities, which is what you really want from your GM. Even though things still can get leaked from time to time, but you're not going to get anything out of him. You know what I'm saying? Might be people around him that might leak some stuff, but Jody's cool, man. This, as I said on other podcasts, a lot of people in the Jets building are good, cool people, good people. You know what I'm saying? Salah's awesome. Michael Floyd is cool to talk to. Jeff Ulbrich is hilarious to talk to. Tony Oden is funny. You know what I'm saying? They got good people in that building. Joe D, he obviously knows what he's doing. We just got to see if his plan comes to fruition. Because obviously, he's in theory he's set the team up with a lot of
on paper for sure.
On paper, but it's all on paper, right? If let's say Garrett Wilson can't play and Jermaine Johnson is just okay and Sauce is just okay and they took somebody else. Oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Breece is above average, then this draft class isn't as special as it was portrayed to be, you know what I'm saying? Or, and if DJ Reed isn't as good as he was in Seattle, then, Joe D doesn't look good anymore. You know what I'm saying? So on paper, he's done a really good job, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what happens on the field.
All right, DJ, let me ask you really quick. For the Jets, I'm getting I don't want to say pessimistic because pessimistic seems a little bit strong, but it seems from what I'm gauging is you have your worries about the Jets going into the season. I want to get a sense of
you get a ton of shit on Twitter for it too.
What are your worries with the Jets going into this 2022 season? And on the other side, what are some positives that you feel with this Jets team right now?
So I don't really have a pessimistic view. It just depends on what you expect from them. I don't think any Jet fan is expecting playoffs for the most part. The majority aren't really expecting that. I think my views and their views kind of all align in a similar bubble. I expect them to be in the playoff, in the hunt, in the hunt to be in the hunt.
I know what you're saying.
An 8-8,
7-9, one of those.
Like the Dolphins and stuff.
Yeah,
that's pretty accurate.
Exactly, right? Because even though the Dolphins don't make playoffs often, but they're usually in that quote unquote hunt towards the end where you have hope, right? And then they just falter towards the end because hello, they're the Dolphins. So I think that the Jets can be in that range, like without question. My, quote unquote pessimistic view is just, okay, a lot of this has to come together, and you're asking a lot of your young talent. Like you're asking for the Jets to be a playoff contender, you're going to need Zach to take a massive leap, Elijah to take a massive leap, Elijah Red Tucker to take a massive leap, Brees to hit the ground running, Garrett Wilson hit the ground running, Jermaine Johnson to really like stand out year one, along with Carl coming back off an Achilles injury and just really stand out, and then Sauce being a above average corner as a rookie. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a lot to ask. Like I think half of those things are possible. In which order, I don't know, but I think half of those things are possible. Like I could see a scenario where Brees is really good. Zach takes a massive leap, but it's all just depending. You know what I'm saying? So what I do like what they could be, I think they could be a top 16 defense. Where if you're a top 16 defense, you're going to be in a lot of games.
No doubt.
If you're top 16 defense, you're basically holding teams to 23 points or fewer. And if you can hold teams to that, you're always going to be in games. You'll be able to steal some, because if you could just score 24 or more, you'll win a lot more games than you're expected to. You feel me? So I think that there's a chance that the defense can be better than the offense this year, because I think there's there's more ready to go talent on the defensive side, right? Like you got
definitely
DJ Reed, you have
Whitehead.
You have
Carl Lawson's coming back.
Carl Lawson coming back, JFM Quinnan, you have CJ Mosley. So like there's more ready to go right now, talent defense side. I think there's more upside on the offense. So I think that, the offense might be a little more combustible, but I think the defense could be a lot more consistent. And I think that it's going to be way better than it was last year. Last year, obviously, it was like
terrible. Yeah.
Was it 32nd?
Terrible.
Was it 32nd or 31?
DJ,
that's why going from 32nd to 16, that's a huge W.
Yeah.
Huge W.
And Robert Saleh in San Fran did a similar thing. DJ, hearing you talk makes me realize that I can never become a reporter, because you are so even keeled and realistic about your views. Like you play the middle a lot. With me, right. I'm all in. I'm ready to call.
As you should.
I'm ready to call Zach a franchise guy. There's no way Garrett is a bust. Sauce is going to be a top 10 corner. He's going to be like Pat Surtain. Realistically, you make some good points about the offense, because this is what I was saying, because a lot of people in the media on ESPN and stuff, that when they talk about the Jets, they always like project us to like win 10 games. Like Robert Griffin said like 10 games, and everybody talks about the Jets offense like it's already made. But the realistic part about it is that Garrett Wilson, we don't know what he's going to be. Corey Davis, his entire career has been at best a wide receiver too. I like Elijah Moore a lot, but he did have his injuries his rookie season. And CJ Uzomah, Tyler Conklin, they're good, but they're bottom 20 tight ends in the NFL. So really, our offense is filled with a lot of unknowns and question marks, to the point that projecting Zach to have this monumental year 2 leap, or for everything to come together this year, I think is a bit optimistic, at least.
Right. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think, in my opinion, I think things that I am confident will happen with the offense is the running game be a lot better.
Agreed.
Elijah can get close to 1,000 yards or eclipse 1,000 yards. I think that the tight end room is obviously going to be a lot better, a lot more productive. And I think Zach should be at the bare minimum a top 20 quarterback in year one, in year two, because it's not going to be hard to clear that bar, because there's a lot of teams that have, garbage at quarterback. You feel me? So it won't be hard for him to clear that bar. The only thing is, okay, what type of numbers and success do the Jets have to have for everybody to feel like, or the majority feel like you guys have a franchise, he's the franchise guy. Like I'm pretty steadfast that it's probably over 30 touchdowns, 4,000 yards combined, because even with 17 games, like getting 30 touchdowns in the season still isn't that easy. Like you got to be you got to be that deal for the most part to get over 30 touchdowns. Like people talk bad about Kirk Cousins, and rightfully so, but he still gets you 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns each year. Yeah. Like he's consistently getting you that passer rating of over 100 or almost 100. Like that is hard to get from quarterbacks. That's why it's hard for the Vikings to move on from him, because yeah, you kind of hit your ceiling with him, but like, the ceiling is better than
A lot.
what it could be if you
Replacement.
can't find a quarterback.
Yeah.
So
And
I
think-
know that you're a Dolphins fan, so I want to ask you these two questions. Before you
Yes.
joined the Jets beat, like did you have like hatred for the Jets before joining the beat? And the second question is that do you categorize the Dolphins as one of those teams that have a garbage quarterback?
Hold on. So I never had a hatred for the Jets. Like that was pointless because the Patriots were the issue.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
For sure.
So like why would I have a rivalry with the Jets? Yeah. But like a hatred? No, like nah, I never had a hatred for them. Like I always paid attention to them. Like it was more like fun joust because my best friend is a Jets fan. Like we talk all the time. Like that's the only person that can get under my skin in terms of Jets
I know what
talk,
you're saying.
right? Like
Yeah.
Jets Dolphins talk. Because he knows what buttons to push. And that's why like, it was always when Jet fans would like throw shots at me about Dolphins and stuff, like it's always rolled off my back because it's like I've heard way worse. So
Yeah.
so that and then would I categorize the Dolphins as one of those teams with a garbage quarterback? No, I wouldn't go that far.
Guy knows
but
ball. Guy knows ball.
they for sure one of those teams have a question mark at quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like they're in that that weird space of like the Eagles, Eagles, obviously Dolphins are in that space.
Giants.
Commanders.
The Giants, we know.
Nah, I feel like the Giants, everybody kind of knows because like I think this is year 4 of Daniel Jones, and like
Yeah.
It's
you
unfortunate.
know what it is. Yeah,
The Tennessee Titans with Tannehill. One of those teams?
Nah, I don't. It's not a question mark. You kind of know what.
I know what
you
he's
kinda
saying.
what
He's
he
saying
is.
like one of those younger guys that franchises are entrusting in these guys, but they're not fully
Right.
sure right now. There's not that many
Yeah,
guys. That's why
yeah.
Daniel came to mind. Baker was one of those guys that's
Right,
not
right.
anymore. I know exactly what you're going for.
I asked
Exactly,
you
like-
that because Drew is a big Tua guy.
I am, and I'm absolutely thrilled
Huge.
to hear that you're a Miami
Huge
Dolphins
Tua
fan.
guy.
I'm not a Dolphins fan. I'm actually a Broncos fan. But Tua has been my guy since he was in Alabama. He stepped in against Georgia, lefty guy. I'm left-handed. It was just meant to be written in the stars. Comes to the Dolphins, top 5 pick. My dad's a Dolphins fan too, and I just like the way that Tua carries himself. There's a lot of hatred thrown
That's
on
fair.
his name, and he takes it. He eats it. He has the intangibles to be great. He has a strong arm as well. Let me not say strong arm. I apologize. An accurate arm. That's what I meant to say. That's what I meant to say.
Accurate.
That he has an accurate arm. Yes.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the strongest arm, but now we're actually starting to see that his hip is fully healed, and
Yeah.
his throws look very, very good in this offseason. But again, no pads doesn't really mean too much.
Right.
But
right.
I am actually interested to hear your assessment on Tua going into this season. Do you believe that Tua will actually have respect put on his name, earn that respect this season?
Or is he Jared Goff?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like, is he gonna have a Jared Goff type season, right? Where like the team has a lot of success, but there's still questions about him because of that system. So that's my only trepidation. I mean, but I'm big on like a lot of it does come down to what's surrounding you.
No doubt.
And he has one ultra elite receiver and one good that can become elite receiver. So he kind of has two, and he has a really good number 3. He has a good tight end and Mike Gesicki. The offensive line should be much improved, and he has a good defense around him. So like,
Agreed.
I think the Dolphins team is going to be a lot better. I don't know if he'll be able to question all the critics because it's pretty obvious that the critics will only be questioned based on how you play aesthetically, not your actual like production. And aesthetically, like Tua will probably never ever be aesthetically pleasing type quarterback.
No
He
doubt.
plays like Drew Brees. So I don't know if he'll be able to. I don't think he'll ever be able to like, unless again he pulls up Drew Brees type numbers, that I would really question like shut down his critics because he's not aesthetically pleasing, right? So that. But I am very interested to see what he looks like in a real offense because obviously that Dolphins offense last year wasn't a real offense. An RPO-based offense that's not a real NFL offense because, like it was obvious that once they went heavy RPO, like they had some success, but then towards the end of the year, it came back down to earth. Like the second time they played the Jets, he threw 2 interceptions because like they kind of figured everything out, right? So I am interested to see what it looks like. I'm not optimistic, but I'm not pessimistic. I'm just kind of like straight down the middle because like I'm a Dolphin fan, so I've seen the story a bunch
Fair
of
enough.
times.
Fair enough.
One question I have for you. I know you said you had to go around 7, so I don't want to keep you too long. But Mekhi Becton, I know there was a lot of talk before in voluntary minicamp. He wasn't there. He was having a child. And then around mandatory minicamp, he came back. There was all these pictures floating around, videos. Did he look overweight, this and that? I'm not too worried about it yet. Once we get into, August and, it's minicamp and we're really ramping up to the season. Is he playing in preseason games? Because he's a key part to this offensive line. Obviously, he was drafted to be the franchise left tackle, and George Fant more or less took his job. So I'm curious, whatever you've heard about Mekhi, do you think he's going to be ready for week 1? If he is, left tackle, right tackle, does it even matter?
So I think he'd be ready for week 1. I think all the criticism is, at this point, it's fair. Some he's brought on himself. Some, he didn't really bring on himself, but he can't control getting hurt. But at the end of the day, all the criticism will either be justified or be silenced once week 1 gets here. And it has to continue throughout that, right? Like nothing he does in training camp, unless, he just looks like an abomination. Nothing he does now, I won't say it doesn't matter, but in terms of perception, it doesn't matter because it comes down to like how he plays during the season. Because he's at that point in his career. He's in year 3. There's a lot of questions surrounding him. So it's really just going to come down to how he plays. End of the day. That's why, I kind of strayed away from the discussions in terms of narrative surrounding Mekhi because it was kind of, I don't want to use the word pointless, but like I kind of knew where we were at this point where it's going to come down to what he does on the field.
No doubt.
So,
Yeah.
More often than not, that's what it comes down to. What can you do for me on Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays? My last question for you, DJ, is going to be, what's your bold prediction? Because now that I know you're a Dolphins fan, what's your bold prediction for the Dolphins? And now what's your bold prediction for the Jets? Could be positive, could be negative. Doesn't matter to me.
Oh, my bold is probably the Dolphins make the playoffs. I don't think they win the division because the Bills are the Bills. For the Jets, I think that I think my bold prediction is they won't win a number overall pick, but I think they have a exciting season where they're in the hunt. And then it kind of falters towards the end because they're young. But, I think they'll be ahead of the Patriots this year because I'm not a believer in the Patriots.
Wow,
but
nice.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Sure.
We all have the same opinion.
Correct.
And on TikTok, we got killed for it. People said we're sleeping on the Patriots a little bit too much.
Now, Patriots roster, going into the season to be strong.
Yeah. If Bill Belichick wins with that he's really the best coach ever, honestly. That roster is not good.
But
yeah, so thank you, DJ, for being on the show. And before you go, I mean, this is a show. Hot takes are welcome. I know he asked you some bold predictions, but what hot takes do you have? It doesn't have to be about the Dolphins or Jets. It could be about NBA. It could be about KD going to Miami potentially. Before you go, just some hot takes, just some bold takes that you have not said yet that you just want to get off your chest.
KD's still a better player than Steph.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
I know that Steph got the 4th ring, yada yada yada, but I think KD's still a better player. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, KD left, and Steph was able to win again, so it kind of muddies a lot of things. But like, they don't get to 4 if KD doesn't go there. You know,
no doubt, 100% agree.
And they've all admit, like Draymond just admitted that they needed KD to win against the Cavs. I still think KD is. Because I've seen both of them on the same team, and one was defensively better than the other. So why should I forget that because of a resume? You feel me? So that's kind of my take on that. But, that's just kind of how it goes. Like, if KD never wins again, like, Steph will be higher than KD on all-time rankings. Yeah. But I do believe that KD's a
If KD goes to Phoenix, do they beat Golden State in the playoffs?
They beat the dog shit out of them, no question.
I don't know about that. That Suns team.
I know
that's
disrespectful.
That's
They'll draw. That full confidence in that. Like
this
if
Warriors
KD
team,
go to the Suns, I'm for sure. I'm a Suns. I'm a part-time Suns fan.
Stop it!
Part-time
Come on, DJ.
KD, Booker, CP3, and nothing else gets that done.
Yes.
DJ, come on.
I just saw
man.
a strong Boston Celtics team,
I will say if
team lose to them.
Yeah.
I will say if KD does go to Phoenix and wins a championship, a lot of the critics that have been clowning him for the past couple of years are going to look very, very dumb.
But
and
that's why I have no doubt in my mind that he goes to Phoenix, he's never winning.
He's not being the worst.
Never.
And
Never
that's why I like KD to Phoenix, because I think There's already a
Storyline.
rivalry
Yeah,
there brewing with
storylines
Golden
there.
State.
Get 'em
And
to the West.
they're destined to match up.
I mean, is there a rivalry right now? They haven't played, and right now,
I guess KD versus Draymond, that like you know what
I
I'm saying.
guess
It's like
that
a
would
off
be
the court.
that would be
more-
the only.
There's
thing
definitely a
rivalry.
rivalry between Chris Paul and the Golden State, though.
That I don't disagree
Historically,
with. I agree with
there
that.
is.
But right now, the Suns are little bro.
Yeah, no,
They're a little bro.
That's
I
true.
mean, everyone's a little pro to them.
Yeah. So thank you, DJ, for being on the show. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, DJ.
No problem, man. No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
DJ, is there anything you want to shout out before you go, dude?
And then I want to shout out the Heat are the best team in the NBA.
Okay.
And
All right,
KD
Cap.
is gonna go there and we're gonna win again.
All right, man.
Boston still beating y'all.
All right, DJ. It was a pleasure having you, man.
Nice meeting you, man.
No problem.
So that was DJ, who used to work for the New York Daily News, covering the Jets. He's leaving. He's not covering the Jets beat, sadly, anymore, but we wish him well. Now, on to the rest of the show. Before we start it, we got some gifts in the mail from Muffins, a honorable
Sir.
Patreon
Shout out Muffins.
supporter.
Go.
You guys might have
Patreon,
seen me opening up my cards on my Instagram, but if you didn't, I'll do it one more time here. So I got a Deshaun Watson card. We're just going to put that to the side. Tom Brady, Buccaneers.
Cards
You know,
icy.
he's the GOAT.
Cards
Yeah,
icy. Here, pass it over, bro. I'll show it to
he's
the
the
camera.
GOAT, yeah. Jason Tatum rookie card. And Muffins really blessed it
hard.
because you
That's
know
hard.
that this card,
Are we really showing this?
Oh.
Deshaun.
you know that this card actually, if it's graded and it's a PSA 10, is worth $2,000 right now.
Damn.
Jason Tatum, yeah.
I'm surprised he gave this to him and not you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's some
right?
shit.
And then Zach Wilson, a rookie ticket card.
That's crazy.
So,
yeah,
this
this
is
is
crazy.
This is tough.
You got another package, bro.
And you got part of his jersey on here.
Yeah, I do.
Unless
I do
it's a
another
You
ticket.
got another
package.
package. You should open that up.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for you to do the cards and then I'll
Oh,
open it up.
right.
Yeah. And Muffins also gave us this pack of cards.
That I'm gonna open because I think my pack is in the mail somewhere, lost in transit.
That was some muffins. Can't open this shit.
Come on, bro. You're shacked in a fool.
It is pretty difficult to open. I won't
I
lie.
was opening from the wrong hole, bro.
Ah, gotcha. Hey,
Is that
man.
what you always
Yo,
say?
is there a letter? Bro, it looks like there's a
Oh,
letter.
there's a letter?
Oh, okay.
Let's see. All right. Dear Pick Aside, y'all have been family from the start, so here's a gift to show my love. Joel and Joel, lay off my
You
Browns.
said Joel and Joel.
Joel and Joel, I apologize.
Yeah, better change.
I apologize, but that was rude of me. Lay off my Browns. We are trying. In your pack, you'll find one GOAT, one bust, one and one MVP. In the big pack, share with the squad. Love Muffins,
What's up?
a.k.a. Dogs Pound Poppy.
Yeah. I don't know if this says Joel Big D.
Wow.
Is it?
Joel
I don't know if
Big
that's a
D.
G or D, Big D. I don't know.
I don't
You
know.
are very tall.
I am tall. All right. I already see the Deshaun card. Oh, damn. I spoiled myself on the other one. Deshaun. Shout out. I think we're all getting Deshaun card. This one, though. JB. Is this rookie?
Ooh,
Nice.
Okay.
This is a rookie Jaylen Brown card. This is fire. Zach Wilson rookie ticket as well.
Nice.
Last but not least, Tom Brady. Oh man, I think
No, he
he's-
did
I
not do
think
you
he's-
slime like this.
Yeah, he's trolling
Wait,
me
so
with
he
this
gave
one.
us all the same cards except
Yeah,
I
but I
have
got-
Tatum and you have Jaylen Brown.
Facts.
That's what's
tough.
up.
That is
Damn,
very
he
tough.
has a lot of the same cards.
That's pretty lit. Now it's time for me to show my love to my boy Nick Dawson. Now I'm sure you saw on Joel and Rivers' Instagram that Nick was kind enough to send us all jerseys.
Yep.
And I wanted to do Nick right by showing love on the actual podcast. Now I wanted to open it live on the show because I really want to show how grateful I am to this guy because sending jersey is just crazy. It's just a different type of love. Guy sent me a Jerry Jeudy
That is clean.
jersey.
That is clean.
Fire.
And we already know my feelings towards Jerifer. My
Is
boys,
that the name we're going with?
I don't know, but that's what I'm going to give it to him. This guy, oh, man. Nick, you get a special shout out. His Instagram is Los Dawson, LOS Dawson 57. Shout out to you, bro. You really spoiled us, and 100% I'm throwing this on for the rest of the show.
Shout out.
And one last gift. Drew, so this funny story. Drew for the past week and a half has kept asking me, has something came in the mail? Has something came in the mail? Has something came in the mail? And I thought it was something for you since you were so excited about it.
Uh-huh.
But it turns out Drew got me a gift.
I did get him
And
a gift.
the package is right here. And I'm going to open it live on the show. My birthday was June 24th. The same day
NFL
as,
shops, man. Y'all got to step it up. Y'all got to step it up.
They suck at delivery.
You know what? But to their credit, they have a disclaimer. We have a historical amount of stuff that we have to give out because
What's
of
so
COVID.
special? Bro.
Listen,
they're a
hey, let's not get
billion-dollar
political.
business.
Let's not get political.
So I opened it up. I don't know what it is yet. Let's see what it is. I have a feeling it's Sauce Gardner.
Oh, maybe.
Let me see what it is. It's Sauce Gardner. Sauce.
So,
Oh, let's get it. Okay.
Listen, the way that you chat up Sauce Gardner,
He's the next Darrell Revis, is he not? I think he is.
and that's why I said it's fitting that you put the Revis jersey up there.
So Sauce Gardner, I feel like I just got drafted.
That's tough.
Number one.
That
I
shit's
appreciate you, bro.
Got you, King.
Appreciate my
Got you,
guy.
Brody.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys.
That's lit.
My birthday party was very lit.
your party was lit.
Too lit if you
Yeah.
ask
True.
me.
Never
Too,
mind.
I was
yeah,
too
all right.
gone. I'm gonna be
Listen,
honest.
they already shouted me out on the last podcast. I was just like, hey, okay, we don't gotta talk about that.
I got drunk as hell, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know how.
Yeah. I'm trying to throw another bank. You know what I'm trying to actually get? I'm trying to get a projector. So like whenever big fights happen, like UFC or boxing, yo, pull up. Let's watch the fight. Let's
Where'd you
chill.
put it? Like against the shed type?
You know where like the swing was, like
Yeah.
in the back,
Yeah.
by like the hammock. So the projector would be facing that way against that wall,
Got you.
and I'd have it. Yeah. So
Stuff.
now we both got jerseys on. I might put this jersey on actually as well. You got a Zach Wilson's good shirt. Man, the squad is thriving
We're ready
right
for
now.
NFL.
We're all
episode.
fly. That's what it comes down
Yeah.
to.
And over the past couple of weeks, you guys have been asking for a baseball topic, MLB topic. So this is our first. No, I wouldn't say first ever, but this is definitely like our second, third ever MLB topic. This is the first time we're doing one
Yeah, I was
as a
gonna say,
group,
when did
though.
y'all do a
Maybe never. Only,
I did it
like-
with Jack and Riv one time.
And I was gonna
Talking
say,
about the Mets.
Rev?
Yeah, right when Steve Cohen bought the Mets.
And literally one time when we were, I think when we first had Pee Wee on, we were explaining like little fundamentals of baseball
Yeah.
and stuff like that. That was about it. That's all that I've spoken about baseball on the podcast.
So the best two teams in baseball, well, the best team are the Yankees.
Correct.
Right?
100%. We are 9 games better than the next best team.
And the Mets are also one of the best teams. I'm not a big baseball guy.
What's up for?
But the Yankees
Right now you're 3.
The Yankees are in the American League or National League.
So we're gonna have to school this guy on air, which is fine. Not schooling. We're educating. That's what we're in the business of doing right now. The Yankees are the best team in the major leagues right now with a record of 56-20. The Mets right now actually are. They have the third best record technically because they have two more losses than Houston. They're 47-29. Now I'm gonna talk about the Yankees because they're my squad. I'll let you talk about the Mets a little bit. The Yankees. Why the Yankees and the Mets are so exciting this season is because going into this year, there was a lot of criticism on Major League Baseball itself. And I will say that jersey looks super clean.
So
I was
clean.
debating between the green and the white, but I knew you had a white Zach Wilson jersey, and I was like, you know what? Let me switch it up and get in the green. Yeah, that's iced. That's icy.
Sauce.
It fits good too?
Yeah, it fits
Let's
good.
go. Tough. All right, so back to MLB. I apologize, y'all. But why it's so great that this is happening is that there was a lot of criticism on MLB going into the season because of the strike going on. There was just so much in recent of over these past few years that baseball has struggled in really gaining new viewers. Now, what's great about it is that you have the Yankees and the Mets in the media capital of the world, and they're the two best teams in Major League Baseball. The Yankees and the Mets are single-handedly saving the sport. And I don't mean that as an exaggeration at all. When you have Aaron Judge, arguably the best player on the planet right now, leading the Yankees to the best record in Major League Baseball, that is beyond anything what anyone could have expected as a Yankee fan. We as Yankee fans understood how great Judge was prior to the season and why it's even better, because I'm going to get on so many tangents right now. Why it's even better is that Judge bet on himself going into the season, and Judge said, you know what? I don't like this offer that you're giving me right now because I know my worth. I know
Do you remember
that.
what it was?
I want to say it was an 8-year deal. He was going to be making $33 million a year, I believe.
That would have been a come up for you.
I believe. And he wanted Trout money. He wanted the Mookie Betts money, which is more than fair, especially because as great as Mike Trout is, and he should be the face of baseball, the face of baseball is Aaron Judge. 100% I believe that in my heart. And he said, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to go into this season on my Alex Rodriguez in 2007 where, you know what, I'm going to test free agency. I'm going to trust myself. and I'm going to have an MVP type season. He's done just that. Over the last couple of games, he struggled a little bit where the averages dipped a little bit, but still leading the league in home runs, one of the league leaders in RBIs. He is a freak of nature. He's still on pace for over 60 home runs. He has a strong chance to have the actual home run record where there's no asterisks involved with these guys, where Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire, they have some asterisks on their names. And Barry Bonds, in my opinion, doesn't have as much of an asterisk as people like to claim that he does, but even still don't want to be ignorant about it. There's people that believe Barry Bonds has an asterisk on his name. The real home run record in people's eyes is Roger Maris. Now, Judge has a chance to break that. And why it's so great is how I've mentioned earlier is the sport was in need of someone to come in and really lift it up and have people viewing the game again. A game against the A's a couple days ago was the most viewed game from most viewed Yankees game in years. A regular game against the Oakland Athletics that are not a good team by any means. Yeah. One of the reasons why that is because of Aaron Judge. What we're watching from Aaron Judge is historic, a once-in-a-lifetime type thing. And the Yankees are just on such a tremendous pace right now. We have the lowest ERA in baseball, have the lowest whip in baseball, lead the league in home runs, lead the league in walks. So not only do we have the best rotation, we also have the most power on our squad, and we are very disciplined at the plate. This Yankees team has done everything right as compared to last season where we needed people to steal bases. Now this season, we're more aggressive on the base path. We needed fielders this year. We go and we get IKF, who's been a little bit shaky, but more often than not has been solid. Anthony Rizzo is one of the best gloves there is. And now, back to Aaron Judge, he's now had a new position in center field. There's not many guys you see transfer from right field who, again, 6'7", 280. This guy's a honest to God genetic freak. Is transferring over to center field, which ultimately means you have to cover the most ground out of anyone else on the ball field. He is an athletic monster, and the fact that he's doing this season is just going to bode tremendously in this offseason when he gets a blank check from the Yankees or whichever team that he's going to sign to. God, I just don't even want to throw that out into the universe.
The Mets?
There is a possibility. There is a world.
There's a world
that he gets a ridiculous offer from them. But I think if he wins MVP, we win the World Series in the best case scenario for the Yankees and Aaron Judge. There is a world where he makes $45 to $50 million a season. Yeah. If he keeps this pace, there is a world he makes $45 to $50 million a season. The Yankees have been tremendous, and it's been in part not only to Aaron Judge, but the amazing starting rotation that we have as well.
So before the season, where did Aaron Judge rank as like the best players in baseball? Where did he rank?
He was elite.
In a majority of people's minds, he was a top 15 at worst ball player. People's fear was injuries, where it was minor stuff where he had a hand injury, he had lower body injuries. Lower body injuries scare me for a 6'7", 280 guy for sure. But when he's healthy, he's one of the best ball players in the world. Prior to this year, probably would have had him top 10, especially after last season, how great he was. It was the first time since his rookie season that he played a full season, and he was tremendous. Him and Giancarlo Stanton were an amazing duo. The both of them together almost single-handedly got us past the Red Sox. Just had no one else step up for us at the plate in October when it matters the most. But it's completely different this season as we lead the league in comeback victories. We have a winning record when trailing after 7 innings. That is insane. That just goes to show you the grit and determination that these Yankees, the confidence that the Yankees are playing with right now. We're at a different pace. We're at a different level as the rest of these guys. And not to throw a little bit of shade to you guys, because, listen, I'm a Yankee fan, and no Yankee fan really truly hates the Mets because this is, again, no slight. There's nothing you guys have done that should impact us in rooting against y'all other than the fact that you're another New York team. Against the Astros, who happen to be the second best team in the league, you guys have gotten smoked by them. Meanwhile, we split on 2 games that we probably should not have won, but because of how great and confident we are right now and how consistent our hitting has been all season, we steal 2 games from the Astros.
And not only do you steal 2, you get no hit in one game. Then the next game, you're no hit through 5 or 6 innings. Still come back in that game and end
have
up
a
winning.
walk off.
Yeah,
Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. They're just freaks. When to speak to Giancarlo very briefly, and then I'll allow you to speak about the Mets. When he's on, the Yankees lineup is different because when Judge and Stanton are cooking, we're the best team in the league by far. Because I want to say there's a record. We've lost twice, 2 games, in games that both him and Judge have homered. That's an insane stat. When Giancarlo is on, when he's disciplined at the plate, which as of right now, it's been far and few in between. where he swings at a lot of pitches, just trying to do too much where he doesn't necessarily need to. When he's on, the Yankees are different. And right now, a majority of the Yankees are on. So we can't complain at all.
I think one of the coolest thing about the Yankees, too, is that, sure, you have Giancarlo, Judge, Garrett Cole, but it's a lot of guys that aren't superstars.
So true.
Right? Like, if you look at that Dodgers team, it's like 1 through 9. They are all superstar,
It's an all-star
all-star
lineup,
players. Yeah. The Yankees, on the other hand, while you have your guys, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of guys that a casual fan, like, I don't know every single player. Like, I probably know more than average, but an average fan who lives in, like, the Midwest, like, you're probably not going to be able to name the Yankee starting lineup because it's not this powerhouse. Like, even if you had in years past, like 2009 when you guys won the World Series, where you went out and you got Teixeira and A-Rod, CeCe, all of these guys. Well, this year, it's like, it's Nestor Cortez, right? Like, you have all of these guys.
Jordan Montgomery.
Clay Holmes, right? Like, these guys that come out of
Clay
nowhere.
Holmes, the fact that I didn't speak about him is disrespectful. He's the best reliever in baseball
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. But yeah, the Yankees they're the best team in baseball right now, without a doubt. You have and the Yankees have the most historic team probably in all of sports ever, and you're still off to, I want to say, your best start ever, top 3 start in franchise history.
Correct.
Which is like, it's better than the Patriots dynasties, like any other sport you guys can think of, the Warriors, whoever, the Bulls. Like, the Yankees are the most historic franchise in all of sports. So if you're doing that well, that should show you how well the Yankees are doing. But to start off, I first agreed. Baseball, I think MLB knows that the fans, the players, it was a dying sport. And to see that the Yankees were able to have that high of a viewership on a June game on like a Tuesday night or whatever it was, just shows that when the Yankees are good and the Mets too, there still is viewership and people that want to go out and watch the games on TV or in the stadium. I have some numbers here. In 2016, there were 23 million people who watched the World Series. These last 3 years, it was 14 million in 2019, 10 in 2020, and 12 in 2021.
In 2016 was the New York Mets, correct? Am I wrong?
That was 15.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of that could be due with like the Astros cheating scandal possibly, or not maybe. I know the Dodgers been there a couple times, the Braves, so decent market teams. But I think the one issue the MLB has is they don't market their players, right? Like, I think if you think of players like Ja Moran, who we all admit, like, he's a superstar. He's not a top 10 player. Everyone knows who Ja Moran is. He can now go out on the street. You know who Ja Moran is. If you think of someone like Paul Goldschmidt, he's leading the NL MVP right now. He's batting like 340. He's unbelievable. I have no clue what he looks like. Sure, maybe he plays for the St. Louis Cardinals, but Ja plays for Memphis. I think that's the biggest issue with MLB right now is that they don't have a way of marketing their stars. I feel like they even have that for the big names, like guys like Mike Trout.
Mike Trout should be known across the globe.
Yeah.
There are people in America that don't even know who Mike Trout is. I've had conversations with Riv who couldn't tell me who Mike Trout is before the season. The fact that that's not a universally known thing, where Mike Trout is arguably the greatest baseball player that could go down arguably as the greatest baseball player in MLB history, and there are people that don't know who Mike Trout is, that is insane to me. NBA would never experience that. You know who LeBron James is. Everyone across the globe knows who LeBron James is. Michael Jordan, same thing. These are guys that are historic to the game. Mike Trout is historic to the game, and he is not universally known. It's incredibly irresponsible on the MLB's part.
And MLB has to be happy because I think their goal, we always joke around these conspiracies, like the NBA wants to see the Celtics in the finals, not the Heat. Baseball wants Mets
100%.
versus Yankees 100%. You have this new era of Mets baseball with Steve Cohen, really bringing juice back to the city, to this Mets
100%.
organization who really have not been run that well over these past few years, not one going out to spend, especially in the last couple of years, even after making a World Series.
The Wilpons were very irresponsible.
Very. I mean, they had some Bernie Madoff issues as well when that whole scam went around. But to talk about the Mets, it's funny because a couple of weeks ago when we were supposed to have this show, all of their stats were like first, and Pete was doing this and that. Everyone's still playing well, but they come down a little bit over the last couple of weeks. But I think the biggest thing you have to think about if you're a Mets fan or just an MLB fan is we haven't seen this team at full strength. We're missing not only our 2 best pitchers, but the 2 best pitchers in baseball, Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom. deGrom hasn't pitched in a year now. Scherzer pitched 8-9 games to start off the year, but he's been out. But he did have his first rehab assignment last night. Went well, so I am expecting him to come back in the next week or two. DeGrom's still probably a month or so away, but he is expected to have a rehab assignment on Sunday for the first time in forever. He's been out since last July, I want to say. But then we've had other guys step up. Cookie Carrasco has come in and played really well for us. 8-4, 3.7 ERA. Taijuan Walker, 6-2 with a 3.1 ERA. And if you don't know, ERA is earned run average. So in general, I say below a 4 ERA is pretty damn good. If you're below a 3, you are elite. And DeGrom, before he went out last year, had a 1.3 or something, which is just unprecedented, right? And then we've had Bassett, who's been inconsistent at times, but overall been okay. And McGill, who was just got placed on the 60-day IL, unfortunately, so not sure when he's going to be back. But to talk about their offense as well, Pete Alonso, if it wasn't for Goldschmidt batting .340, would probably be in the lead for MVP right now. He's having a ridiculous season. This is even better than his rookie year when he hit 50-plus home runs. Right now, he is
record for home runs by a rookie.
He's batting .282, third in home runs with 22, first in RBIs with 69. 924 OPS, which is top 10, and 564 slugging percentage. Slugging kind of just shows how powerful of a hitter you are. It's like you get more points for a triple, double, or home run.
Yep.
OPS is on base percentage plus slugging. On base percentage is just what it sounds like if you get on base. So Pete Alonso's having a great season, and you have the guys around him. McNeil is back to his old ways, batting over 300. Lindor has been a bit up and down, but he's still top 5 in RBIs. Starling Marte's been a great free agency signing. So everything's
one of the biggest additions this offseason.
Everything's shaping up. And Luis Gourmet, Gold Glover potentially. He's batting over 300.
And Buck Showalter mentioned this, and people kind of glossed over it. There should be a spot in the All-Star game for utility guys. He solely said that because of Luis Guillorme.
And we didn't even talk about Buck. He's been arguably the biggest addition out of everybody because last year I'm blanking on who our manager was.
I'm blanking too. Go ahead. Don't worry about it.
But yeah,
Mickey.
Buck's,
Was it Mickey Callaway?
No,
was that different one?
No.
Okay.
Rojas. Luis Rojas.
Callaway was 2 years ago.
Yeah, Luis Rojas was a guy who has been a head coach in our farm system, AA, AAA. He came up. That was the year we signed Beltran to be our head coach. The Astros thing comes out. We have to fire him, so we're like, let's just get somebody.
That was unfortunate, too, because I love that
I would have
signing.
loved to see what Beltran was like, obviously being a former Met, what he ended up being like. But in the end, we got Buck Showalter. He's one of the best head coaches, or I guess managers,
in the history
of the game. He's been around forever. So it's shaping up to be a Mets versus Yankees Subway World Series again in 2000. They got the better of us. But I'm excited to see what this team looks like with DeGrom and Scherzer because it's going to look a lot different.
No doubt. Listen, it's going to come down to your bullpen versus ours. Because starting rotation, I won't lie. DeGrom, Max Scherzer, if McGill comes back, we'll see. It's looking like mid-August. That's the last report. And Bass, who's been consistent. As great as our starting 5 has been in the playoffs, in a World Series, you need 3 guys, realistically. And if you have DeGrom and Scherzer giving you 2 games out of a 7-game series, you'll take your chances if you're the Mets.
Definitely will.
And right now, looking at it from an average perspective, and I know baseball right now is more analytics and advanced stats. I'm not a huge supporter of that, but I understand it. Head offices, front offices, that's how they make their lineups. That's how they put together lineups. But looking at it from an average perspective, you guys are top 4 in average, which means that majority of your guys. I think last I checked, the lowest average for you guys was Eduardo Escobar, who was an all-star last season.
It's probably like McCann right now. He doesn't have the at-bats probably to qualify. But
my point being is as a Yankee fan, and as great as we've been, I can acknowledge still that the Mets roster as a whole, their lineup, their pitching rotation, which is why I say it's going to come down to the bullpen, those 2 things scare me. Yeah. If we can get to your bullpen, we have a chance. And even still, Edwin Diaz has been one of the best relievers in
phenomenal.
baseball.
Drew Smith's been really good for us, too. And we also have the 6 fewer strikeouts, number 1 on base percentage. So we're getting hits, we're getting home runs, we're getting on base, we're doing the right things on the base pass, stealing bases, playing great defensively, and also not striking out, which is, in today's MLB, it's strikeout home run. Like, that's what everyone, goes for. A guy like Joey Gallo, right?
Get him off the team.
I know, but it's really changed over the years.
And I'm thrilled that we're having a baseball topic on the show because now I can actually have strong media presence on why Joey Gallo should not be wearing the number 13.
It's disrespectful.
The fact that Joey Gallo was given
A-Rod was number 13
permission to wear number 13 after what Alex Rodriguez had done for us, had delivered us the last championship that the Yankees have had in the last 15 years. We hadn't won since 2000. Before 2009, we hadn't won since 2000. And our last championship was with A-Rod going on an historic postseason run. Forget about just the World Series, right? Because the World Series is the most important thing. And if A-Rod would have played a little bit better in the postseason, we might have had maybe 2 or 3 more. But regardless of that fact, the fact that more often than not, I want to say A-Rod had 14 seasons of 30 and 100. A-Rod was
out of this world.
An MVP with us, had one of the best seasons we've ever seen in 2007 where he had 54 home runs. Alex Rodriguez, regardless of what you want to say on his name outside of the fact that he the steroid scandal, and that's really what people look to when it comes to baseball, what he meant to the Yankees and what he meant to baseball itself, for them to just give Joey Gallo number 13 is a slap in the face to Alex Rodriguez.
It is. I was shocked. I was shocked.
And A-Rod was the one that ultimately said, you do have my permission. But
he did?
He did. And of course that was going to be a respect thing.
But even still, like, don't get, bro, it's A-Rod.
It's Alex Rodriguez. Yeah. We're not talking about some guy like a Paul O'Neill who's finally getting his number retired. Paul O'Neill's not some guy. But we're talking about Alex Rodriguez,
type of baseball
who,
player.
when it comes to skill, is a top 10 player all time. I don't care what history has to tell me. I know what my eyes tell me. And the fact that he had 696 home runs, one of the all-time leaders in RBI, one of the most clutch hitters as well.
Missed the full season, too.
Alex Rodriguez was at a different level than 99% of the guys in MLB history.
And he had swag.
He was super cool. Shout out to Kate Hudson. Shout out to Kate Hudson because what she did for Alex was tremendous in that 2009, and she won't ever be forgotten. But, man, Alex Rodriguez, if you guys couldn't tell, Alex Rodriguez is my favorite player, probably my favorite athlete in all of sports. And for them to do that to Alex was extremely disrespectful, in my opinion.
Obviously, you can't get your number retired anymore.
And now that you can still, believe it or not.
Really?
You can. But now it's just, if you're Joey Gallo, you have number 13 on your back. There's an added pressure now. Right? You're not just Joey Gallo anymore. You're the guy that followed Alex Rodriguez, the first guy to wear number 13.
And it's been how many years? Like 10?
No, barely if that, because he retired in 2016.
A-Rod retired in 2016?
He did, yeah.
On the Yankees?
Yeah.
Wow, it seems like way longer.
I know. Listen, and I was at his last game, actually, and that was unbelievable, one of the best moments of my life. But the fact that it had been less than 5 years removed, because we got Gallo last season, he was able to wear number 13, and they give it away. That doesn't sit right with me.
It hurts.
It doesn't sit right with me. If A-Rod was normal, maybe, but he's not. He was not.
Listening to you guys talk baseball makes me feel like a casual.
I mean, listen, man, it's a lot to unpack. Baseball is a very complicated sport, especially if you're not drawn to it immediately.
Didn't A-Rod hit a home run in his last game?
No, he hit a double in his last game.
He hit a
Derek Jeter was the one that hit a walk-off on his last game, which was one of the greatest moments ever.
Was it A-Rod or Jeter? I think it was Jeter hit a home run for his 3,000th hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so did Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, they both did?
Yes.
Oh, that is
There's
very
only
tough.
3 players in MLB history, Wade Boggs, Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, to have their 3,000 hit be a home run.
I think for baseball, what you have to do, because I'm a pretty big casual outside of the Mets. Like, I know the Mets very well. I know the Yankees somewhat well, and everything else I'm pretty big casual in. I think you just have to find one team. Like, you're a Mets fan. I think we've come to the conclusion, right?
I don't know.
Bro, you... Oh, okay, listen, to each their
I
own.
root for the Dodgers. I root for the Yankees. I root for the Mets.
Dodgers?
Where's that coming from?
No, I went. So my cousin lives in LA, and when
we
I
went to a Mets game last year. Was it before or after?
It was before.
And bro had an IG post saying, "Yo, who's your favorite baseball team?" And it's him flicked up in City Field saying Mets.
Facts. You did put that by IG.
That's just to fuck with him. But because my cousin lives in Los Angeles, and my aunt, she works at like the Dodger Stadium and shit. Like she works at Dodger Stadium, whatever, or wherever they play. And she like got me a bunch of gifts from the Dodgers. I'm talking about a Dodgers blanket, talking about Dodgers like souvenirs and all that stuff. When was the last time they won the World Series?
The Dodgers?
Yeah.
The COVID year. Yeah.
Yeah. So that year is when I went to LA, and then I came back and I actually watched that World Series. It was against the Twins or something, I think.
No, that was against the Rays.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Rays or whatever. I don't know about this.
That, honestly.
But yeah, and I watched that World Series, and that was the World Series that I watched, and like I really watched it thoroughly, and I was rooting for the Dodgers.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. If it's a Dodgers, Rays, whatever the World Series, if the Mets aren't in it, like I'm watching Thursday Night Football.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, there's been moments in MLB history that I regret being asleep for. One of those being the Cardinals Texas game. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was awake.
David Freese has just one of the most freak out moments in World Series history.
Yes.
Joe Buck, regardless of what people want to say, that's one of the best calls in sports history. When Freese hits that home run, he says, "We will see you tomorrow night."
That was fire.
I get goosebumps at just thinking about it. I regret being asleep for those. There's just some moments that you need to be awake for. World Series is one of those, but I get it. I mean, if you're a Mets fan, you're a casual baseball fan, I understand. It's one of those sports you need to just be infatuated with. I grew up a baseball player. I mean, Alex Rodriguez, like I mentioned, you guys hear me talk about how much I love Payne, how much I love LeBron. A-Rod's at a different level for me because I played the game of baseball. I mean, I played basketball casually. I never really played football at all outside of just playing at the park with my friends, but I played baseball for real. And Alex Rodriguez was that guy that made me love the game. Mm-hmm. So if you're not one of those that loves the game, I understand.
Yeah, baseball was my first love as a sport too.
Facts, I forget about that.
Yeah, I mean, like growing up, I was a diehard, and I knew everything. I knew all the players, all the teams. But over the years, I think it was just the Mets just not being competitive. I kind of fell out of it. But I'm getting back there.
I mean, for me, when I was younger, I always was a basketball, football guy, but video games helped me understand it much more and the players and stuff. It's just as a video game, I never liked MLB games. I thought they were
and
very
they really
boring.
weren't accessible. Like, if you did not have a PlayStation, you could not play MLB The Show.
But growing up, I feel like most people had PlayStation, like PS2s compared to like an Xbox.
But I just feel like playing 2K and Madden's more fun than playing MLB.
It is.
MLB The Show 21 was one of the best games I ever played.
So two new free agency moves happened. The Lakers signed Juan Toscano Anderson.
Okay.
Cute.
The Warriors.
And
Cute.
the Mavericks signed JaVale McGee.
That hurts.
Nice
I would have
pickup.
loved
That's
JaVale
a
back.
really great pickup. I love that.
JaVale back.
Towards the end of the show, at the end of the show, we'll go through all the free agent moves that happened and talk about it very briefly. But on to the next topic, Deshaun Watson. Disciplinary hearing is over. It was a 3-day thing. There's no timetable for a ruling, and judge or disciplinary officer Sue L. Robinson is going to make the decision of what's going to happen to Deshaun Watson. So, as everybody knows as of now, he's been accused by 25 women of actions ranging from sexual assault to inappropriate behavior during massages, and he settled with 20 of them, and one was dropped. So the NFL is expected to push for a suspension that is going to last at least a year, according to ESPN's Dan Graziano. And the NFL is insisting on an indefinite suspension for at least a year, and the NFL Players Association is arguing for a much shorter ban. So I just want to know your thoughts on this, and where do you think ultimately his suspension is going to lie? Do you think he's going to get that full year suspension or maybe even more?
Yeah, this is tough because at the end of the day, I think this is how it's going to play out. I think the NFL put it out in the media. We're pushing for an indefinite suspension, and Deshaun's side is going to say, oh, well, he was already suspended basically last year, and they're going to come to an agreement. And at the end of the day, the NFL is going to say, well, we tried. And Deshaun's side is going to say, well, we ended up getting 1 year for Deshaun or 8 games, whatever it might be. So I think all of this media stuff, these leaks that are coming out now are just so in a month from now, whenever this gets resolved, because there really is no timeline. We don't know when it's going to get resolved. It wouldn't surprise me if it happens like today or tomorrow because you have all the NBA news going on. You have July 4th weekend. So if you kind of sweep this under the rug real quick, it wouldn't shock me. One important thing to note though, I was reading through
right after Kevin Durant signs.
Yeah, right when he gets traded.
Traded.
I was reading through like one of these reports, and so at the end, once this judge Sue Robinson, who was the appealer, the NFLPA and the NFL both came to an agreement saying she's gonna be the one to run this process, arbitrator, not appealer. Either side can appeal, right? So if Deshaun ends up getting indefinite suspension, the other side will appeal. If he gets 6 games, the NFL is going to appeal. After that happens, Roger Goodell or whoever he appoints has the final verdict. So if whatever ends up happening, it's going to fall on Roger Goodell or whoever he appoints to have the final say on the matter. And I just worry that Roger Goodell isn't going to want to do that. So whatever happens in this arbitration process between the NFLPA and the NFL and Sue Robinson, that's going to be the final call, because I don't think Roger Goodell is going to have to be the person to say, I'm the one who made the final decision on arguably the biggest sexual assault case the NFL has ever seen.
No, it has to be number one right now.
And there was this quote from the Associated Press that said, I'm told the NFL, despite insisting on a different suspension, wants to avoid the appeals process. A source said, a terrible situation for everyone involved. So the league is more likely to abide by Sue Robinson's ruling if she came back with 6 to 8 games. So if she ends up saying Deshaun's only going to get 6 to 8 games because last year we're treating it as a suspension, there's a good chance the NFL comes back and it doesn't even appeal because they don't want to have to lie on Roger Goodell, and they're the reason why Deshaun gets 6 games or indefinite.
Makes sense. And I feel like if you're the league, you just can't have any loose ends, and you need to. Yeah, that's why I pulled that one out for you. If you're the league, you can't have any mess ups here. Like you mentioned, this is one of the bigger scandals in NFL history, and you need to handle it accordingly. You cannot mess this one up. There's too much lying on it, especially for the fact that the NFL over these last couple of years have struggled with handling certain situations. You look at Ray Rice, you look at Colin Kaepernick, just to name two of the bigger ones of recent memory. And now you have Deshaun Watson. You need to make sure that it's handled correctly and in an efficient manner. The fact that there's no timetable on when this ruling is going to be held, understandable because you need to find all the facts, but this has been going on for over a year now. And yes, he did get suspended last year, but listen, similarly to baseball we just finished talking about, Trevor Bauer missed the entire last season with pay. He was paid.
Deshaun got paid $10 million last year.
Deshaun was paid also, is my point. But then we just saw Trevor Bauer get suspended 2 more seasons after for something that was 100% already proven, set in stone. There were the facts that Trevor Bauer did physically harm this girl. Yes, there was physical evidence.
I mean,
correct.
Deshaun had some text
correct.
too,
but that's a whole different situation. Let's not get too involved with Trevor Bauer. But right now with Deshaun Watson, there's less hard evidence, unfortunately, where it's a lot of hearsay and who can you trust. And that's why there's so much ambiguity going on right now. And why we've waited so long to get a final verdict on Deshaun. But I am looking forward to it. I want this over and done with.
Yeah, bad.
I'm sure that you guys as well are sick and tired of hearing about, what's going to go on. How many games is Deshaun going to get? I 100% believe he should be done for this season as well. If he's suspended for 2 seasons, it's justified. It's understandable. And to speak quickly about the Browns and their contract situation with Deshaun Watson, they're going to be put in a situation where they're not going to have to pay Deshaun Watson that money for those 2 years. But it should get to a point where the Browns already knew what they were getting themselves into by trading for Deshaun Watson. They shouldn't be let off the hook because Deshaun Watson's getting suspended by the league. You guys should be on your cap, not be able to put that money elsewhere for those 2 seasons. It should be that simple.
So he has a $0 cap hit if he gets suspended?
Is that what's going to happen?
I'm asking you. I don't know.
I believe
that money's guaranteed.
Yeah.
No, if he gets suspended, the Browns they will find a way to fight that they don't have to pay that.
Oh, is that okay?
I believe that they should.
His cap hit this year is $1 million, but he has a signing bonus of like 30 plus.
I mean, he's guaranteed what, 240? 230?
Yeah.
The Browns knew what they were getting
They did lose
themselves
3 first-round picks.
And they should be held to that money as
for
well.
Sure. Yeah, the picks.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I've spoken on this matter before. I think that Deshaun should get an indefinite suspension. Whether or not he's banned from the NFL, like for life or whatever, is a different question. But it should start with an indefinite suspension and ultimately him missing the entire year. Like, I don't see a scenario where he doesn't miss the entire year. I think the NFL has dropped the ball too many times on these situations where
100%.
they have given players who have done some heinous things little punishment. And I think Deshaun Watson, unfortunately for him, has to become the poster child for this and get a big time punishment. I think even though he's won the cases, that doesn't mean he's innocent. I know people throw that out a lot. Last time I gave my take on it, a lot of the comments were overwhelmingly saying that it's innocent until proven guilty.
It was bad.
And even on YouTube Shorts, the video did very well, and people were saying the same thing. Just because you are innocent, you're proven innocent in the manner of court doesn't mean that you're innocent. I mean, O.J. Simpson was innocent, but I mean the evidence against him is damning, and especially in scenarios like this, it's very hard to prove somebody's guilt. I mean, I think only like 1% of these type of cases are even convicted. So it's hard to prove that type of case. So this doesn't prove Deshaun Watson's innocence. I think that I'm not going to sit here and say that he's guilty, but I think the evidence is damning. And you talk about the number of women that he's went to, I think he's over 70 spanning this timeline, is damning. It's alarming. There's no reason for that. And the 25 women to come out and speak against it. Everybody thinks that these women are lying just because they're looking for money. And I think that can't be further from the truth. Maybe are there some that are looking for it? Yes, that's possible. But to say all of them are just in it for some financial gain, I think is ignorant to say that. I do think Deshaun Watson should be punished for this, And I'm hoping the NFL does the right thing and they do suspend him for at least a year. And I think it's at least going to be a year. The Browns made a huge mistake, and this is going to be a mistake that is going to cost them big time. They knew what they were doing. They gave somebody $230 million guaranteed, given the information that he was going through these civil lawsuits. And that franchise should be punished for making such a dumb mistake. They, at the press conference, said that they did their research and they investigated the manner, when a New York Times reporter investigated it 10 times better than a franchise who possibly has way more access to it. So that's where I stand on it. I still stand on him being indefinitely suspended. And I think the NFL is going to make the right decision here.
Reading this now, it says if the NFL hands down a year-long suspension, the Browns will save $10 million in cap space this year and clear almost $45 million in cap space next year.
That's crazy.
Like, that makes no sense to me.
The thing about it is that
it was like a risk-free type of thing where the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson, if this is the case.
The thing about it is that what I find most alarming is that if they do hand out this suspension, well, the NFL is pushing for at least a year and an indefinite suspension. The Players Association is pushing for significantly less. And that's something that kind of triggers my mind, and I'm like, well, why? Why are the Players Association pushing for a significantly less suspension? Why do they want to punish this guy less? I know that he's a player in the NFL, but just because you're a player in the NFL does not mean that the Players Association should side with somebody who has been accused of doing this type of stuff. And the fact that he settled with 20 of them, some people will say they were in it for the money, but I think that a lot of these women know that there's not gonna be a conviction because these things hardly ever get convicted. And I mean, Deshaun Watson, him basically, what's the word for it? Him settling with these women, I feel like is a 50-50 admission of guilt.
I was going to say something similar. If you are 100% innocent and you know that you're innocent, you go through the process, right? Settling, where I agree with you 50-50. You want to be over and done with, right? You have the money. If I can settle this now, let's just get it over with so I don't have to think about this. I know my innocence. If this is Deshaun thinking, quote unquote, just what I'm believing.
The entire time he said that he just wants to clear his name.
So 50-50 is perfectly said. You settle. It's either you want to be over and done with this, like let me not think about it, or this is my way out. Let me settle this and not have to worry about it.
And you also have to think, for the people out there who say the women are in this for the money, if you're going out and you're suing this person, you have to go and talk to investigators, talk to police, relive this horrifying moment in your life. So don't be so ignorant to say that.
Be in the public eye.
Exactly. Don't be so ignorant to say that, oh, she just wants her $1 million and get away. Like, no, she has to go and talk to all of these, for the most part, men she has never met in her life, and explain to her what exactly Deshaun Watson has done or allegedly done to her. So don't just say just because you think it's for some money. Like, they have to go and relive this. It's been over a year now.
For sure.
It's been 18 months that this first came out. So this is something that's constantly going on in their life, having to deal with on a daily, weekly basis. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just money.
And last year when this first popped up, the lawyer that was on the case was Tony Busby. And there was conspiracy theories around him because he is close to the Texans organization that, oh, this was all a setup by the Texans to, indict Deshaun Watson and ruin his reputation. Tony Busby is in on it. But Tony Busby said in a statement that the overwhelming evidence collected indicting that the Houston Texans enabled Watson's behavior is incredibly damning. So if he was working with the Texans, he wouldn't out the Texans. So that in itself already diminishes the conspiracy theory that Tony Busby is working with the Texans, because he is literally saying, no, the Texans don't deserve a pass in this. And it is true, according to the New York Times article that dropped last week, the Texans did enable Deshaun Watson. They got non-disclosure agreements for him. They booked an entire hotel for him to bring these massage therapists to. They knew what was happening. So I think that automatically the Tony Busby statement does show that he wasn't working with the Texans to try to ruin Deshaun Watson. And I think Deshaun Watson should be punished for this. There's really no other way around it.
The report actually just came out 30 minutes ago that the ruling isn't expected before July 11th. They have a brief due that week, and then the following week is July 18th. Training camps open on July 25th. So,
Yep.
I mean, I think the NFL, Deshaun, NFLPA all wants to get done before training camp. So it looks like we're probably still at least 3 weeks away.
So this past offseason, or currently in the offseason in the NFL, a lot of wide receivers have been paid big-time money. You have Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, and I'm not even mentioning Allen Robinson, who didn't get a big-time payday, but he is definitely among those top echelon wide receivers. We're going to rank all these wide receivers that got paid this offseason, a sizable amount of money at least. So ranking these wide receivers, I'll go first. Number one.
No, what are you doing?
Bro, is it your first time?
Is this your first time?
Number one just sounds so much better.
All right, question. Do you have 8 guys? You have
I have 10 actually. Because
It's always something with him, bro.
It really is always something.
always
No,
something.
because
Who am I missing?
I forgot DJ Moore got paid.
He definitely
And
passed.
Bro tells us as we're recording.
Stephon Diggs got extended too.
Stefan's not. We knew that. It
Stephon was
inevitable.
4 years, $96 million though.
That's pretty big money. You know
That's
what?
huge money.
That's
So
huge.
I had to put Stephon Diggs in here.
Son of a bitch, man.
I actually don't like it. We deadass talked about this like 10 minutes before we came to your
No, I
house.
know.
Like, yo, here are the players.
What we can do is
I
scratch
just-
everything before this. You give me 2 minutes to add DJ
I just
Moore,
learned about it
and-
now. That's why.
All right, good.
In a tweet,
All right.
I would have told you guys earlier if
That's
I
all
knew
right.
about it
Listen,
earlier.
no big deal. No big deal. No big deal.
Okay.
It better not be.
Or what?
It's not hard adding 2 players.
No, it's
in your
not. That's
list,
why.
right?
That's why I'm just saying. You give me a little bit. Of time.
Especially Stephon Diggs and DJ Moore.
Yeah, that's
right?
pretty. Yeah, no, it's easy.
But how we
But we're making this list because Terry McLaurin just got a 3-year, $71 million extension.
We're scrapping this 100%.
No, we're also. How are we valuing this? Are we ranking these players based on their
Just-
contract? How good? Like,
Yes.
Just how good they are.
Yes.
Like,
It's value. No, it's value plus how good. Like,
Yeah.
Same
And
thing.
while you guys do your add the 2 players, I will say this.
This guy's gonna
I
continue with
want
the
to.
show.
I
can't believe
want
this.
to talk. I want to talk about Terry McLaurin real quick.
Go
I mean,
for it.
you guys had your whole spiel talking about the Mets and Yankees. I didn't get to talk for almost 20 minutes, so now it's my time to talk. Terry McLaurin in his career has run 1,629 routes, was targeted on only 357, and only 62% of them were catchable. And Carson Wentz has ranked dead last in accuracy over the last 2 years combined, a minimum of 600 attempts. So he's going to need, Warren Sharp tweeted this, and he's basically talking about how Terry McLaurin has played with awful quarterbacks his entire career that were inaccurate and almost never threw him catchable passes. And now Carson Wentz is a similar type of quarterback who he's not as bad as the other former Washington quarterbacks, but
not close.
he's one of the more inaccurate quarterbacks in the NFL. And I don't think it makes Terry McLaurin's life that much easier playing with Carson Wentz. Terry McLaurin is an elite wide receiver in my opinion. And I wish that he would get the chance to play with an actual great quarterback because I think he's one of the better receivers in the league that just doesn't have the opportunity because of the horrible quarterback play that he's been surrounded by. But he's still one of the better wide receivers. He agreed to a 3-year, $71 million extension, and I think he's worth all of that money. And I'm glad he's staying in Washington. Terry McLaurin has been one of my favorite players in the NFL for a while now. He almost won me a fantasy championship in his rookie season and second season.
Terry McLaurin's him.
Yeah, he is. Did you guys finish your 2 players that you had to add in?
Dude, not even freaking close.
I can't believe this.
You
guy,
don't
man.
think so? It's really that hard
Nah.
for you guys?
Bro, I have a list of 8 guys here. Now I got to move around who I want to do. Like, it's
It's
just
2 players.
I know,
I'll
but-
start it first.
Yeah, please.
This is my top 10. So ranking the wide receivers that got big time contracts this offseason, or at least pretty good sizable contracts this offseason. The top 10, Christian Kirk is number 10. Number 9, Mike Williams. Number 8, Allen Robinson. Number 7, DJ Moore. Number 6, Terry McLaurin. Number 5, A.J. Brown. Number 4, Cooper Kupp. Number 3, Stephon Diggs. Number 2, Tyreek Hill. And number 1, Devontae Adams. Those are my top 10 wide receivers.
So I did a little bit different.
I did it the same way as you.
Okay, so I did it based off value on top of how good you are, right? So
I did it just off the best.
which is fine, but we already did a best receivers list, so I decided to take a little bit different approach. So number 10 for me, Christian Kirk. Not much has to be said. He is not that good. He does not deserve to be paid $18 million. But I understand if you're the Jaguars, you are in a position where you need a weapon. You have to pay relatively top dollar for one of these guys that's not necessarily going to want to come play in Jacksonville. I'll tell you right now, if I was a player in the NFL, Jacksonville would be nowhere near the top of my list of destinations I want to go. So you're going to have to give me some money to draw me over there. Number 9 is Mike Williams. I have Mike Williams there. If Christian Kirk was not on this list, Mike Williams would be dead last because I'm not a huge believer of Mike Williams. It took Mike Williams up until 2021 to really, truly have a top 10 pick type season. Mike Williams this past season was great. 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. He was fantastic. But in 2019, we saw him finally eclipse 1,000 yards and just barely 1,001 yards. And we were expecting the following season after that, 2020, with Justin Herbert, for him to continue to excel. Herbert comes in, lights the world on fire, had one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen from a quarterback, and he was underwhelming. 756 yards on 5 touchdowns. He was not great whatsoever, but again, to his credit, he was really good last season. What have you done for me lately? Mike Williams was great, but there was moments throughout this season where he was at his highs for sure, and then we saw Mike Williams dip down to that good old Mike Williams that we've become accustomed to. But then towards the end of the season, he came back up and was pretty solid. But I don't love the $20 million a year. But it's a new day we're living in. Receivers get paid an essential amount of money, and I understand why receivers are super essential. Number 8, I have DJ Moore. 3 years, $61 million, $20 million a year. Around
You
21
said number
million.
3?
No, number 8.
Real quick, you all signed Gary Payton.
Don't gas me up. Let's go. That's perfect. That's exactly what we needed. A nice 3-and-D, a solid 3-and-D that we can trust. That is great. That is excellent. I love to hear that.
To you.
What do you mean?
Bro, I'm dead ass.
Don't play with us. Come on,
swear
bro.
he's
The
lying
Laker
to
Nation, don't play. All right, number 8, I have DJ Moore. 3 years, $61 million, $20 million a year, around $20 million a year. Now, DJ Moore is a great ball player, one of the more underrated ball players. No, did you? Ball Sack Sports?
I think I got.
He did.
That's
get
all right.
got.
I got by Johnson White NBA.
That's all right, man. No worries. DJ Moore is one of the more underrated guys at the wide receiver position. Been super consistent, over 1,000 yards his last couple of seasons with mediocre quarterback play. To get DJ Moore for around that price tag is tremendous. The only reason I don't have him a little bit higher is because I like these guys a little bit more. Number 7, A.J. Brown. 4 years, $100 million, $25 million a year. A.J. Brown, when he's healthy, is one of the best receivers in this league. I understand that he is, when he's on the field, he's one of the most exciting guys, but it's when he's on the field. He's a little bit too injury prone for my liking. And when he's on the field, he's great, but $25 million a year for someone who you can't trust to play the whole season, I don't know about that. Number 6, Allen Robinson. This is, talk about value. Allen Robinson's 28 years old, coming off the worst year of his career, but had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, getting paid $15.5 million a year for the next 3 seasons to play opposite of Cooper Kupp with Matthew Stafford. I'm expecting him to definitely do dividends to that contract.
So you have A-Rob over Terry?
I do. No, not at all.
Who'd you have A-Rob over?
I have A-Rob over DJ Moore and A.J. Brown.
Wow.
For value, $15.5 million a season. That is something you can't beat. He's the 22nd highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. I'm taking that to the crib every single time, especially with Matthew Stafford as my quarterback. Number 5 is Tyreek Hill. 4 years, $120, $30 million a year. Becomes the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL on a year-to-year basis. Tyreek Hill is one of the most explosive, if not the most explosive wide receiver we've ever seen in the NFL. Only reason I have him a little bit under is because I like these guys I like these guys' situations a little bit better than Tyreek's. And $30 million a year to a wide receiver. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. We're going to have to see how Tyreek actually performs with this contract. Number 4 for me is Devontae Adams. 5 years, $140, $28 million a year. Devontae Adams is what, 28, 29 years old? The reason why I have him so high on this list is, 1, Devontae Adams is still a top 2 receiver in the NFL. At worst, top 3. And now he's going to play with one of his best friends, Derek Carr. The offense should be super exciting. Derek Carr is not a bum by any means. He is a top 12 at worst quarterback in the NFL. That should be a great pairing, and Devontae Adams should play well. But at that age, that's a lot of money. It's Devontae Adams. You pay it. Number 3 for me, Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen is going to be one of the best duos in the league for years and years to come, for however many years that Stephon Diggs has left on his contract. You can take that to the bank that's going to be a home run. Number 2 for me, Terry McLaurin. why I love the deal. For $23.3 million a year, he has been one of the most underappreciated wide receivers because he plays with mediocrity at best. 94th percentile success rate in man-to-man press. Career best 80.3 success rate versus zone. Last year, 62.7% of Terry McLaurin's targets were catchable, the lowest rate of all receivers with 100-plus targets. Terry McLaurin is him. He has Carson Wentz as his quarterback now. I am 100% expecting a career year from Terry this season. And number one, without a doubt, this should be obvious. Cooper Kupp, number one, 3 years, $80.1 million, $26.7 million a year. The fact that Cooper Kupp is coming off the greatest wide receiver, he is coming off the greatest wide receiver season in the history of the game, and he is not the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL, is an automatic come up at that. The fact that Cooper Kupp was willing to take a pay cut to stay with this Rams team, to contend for a Super Bowl once again, speaks dividends to his character. But on top of that, you understand that Cooper Kupp is better than $26.7 million a year. And for that value, it's got to be number one.
You think he's better than Tyreek Hill? Just as a player for player.
I'm a Tyreek guy. I understand that. And listen, that's someone who's a Broncos fan who's seen Tyreek terrorize us for years and years. He is the most exciting player I've seen at the wide receiver position in my life. Maybe Antonio Brown in terms of what you're doing on the field. Who?
Calvin?
Fair enough.
He's like top
Fair enough.
three.
I
He's
could
like
be
top
wrong on this, but I doubt Cooper Kupp replicates the season.
I'll guarantee you he has 1,300 yards this season.
And I don't.
Kupp.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think Cooper Kupp's better than Stephon Diggs. I don't think he's better than Tyreek Hill.
It's such a
I don't
hard
think he's better
argument
than
to have.
Devontae
What number
Adams.
did you have Cooper Kupp here?
I have him at 4.
Okay. Well, you had Cooper Kupp as number 2 as your wide receivers for next year, correct?
Yeah, production wise, yeah, I can see
Well,
it.
that's why you have to respect him. Again,
But I don't think he's better than these guys.
he didn't do
though.
any, like what he did last season was beyond the word normal and great. He was all-world perfect last season. You have to give him that respect.
So I did a little bit different than both you guys now that I'm thinking about it. So you did it based on best
I think
player,
he's the best.
which is just, at that point, it's just a wide receiver ranking. So I don't really agree with your list. You did it based on value, about how these
You don't
contracts.
agree with my list in terms of what?
Because you should. This is just a top 10 wide receiver list. Then
No,
Yeah,
it's a
that's what-
top
that
10
it's a top 10 wide receiver list with
receivers
Mike
that got
Williams and
that,
Christian Kirk.
it's a top 10 wide receivers that got paid list.
But it's a regular wide receiver list. I looked at this
Boring.
as, if I was a general manager, what contract would I want to give out the most to least? So starting off at 10, I mean, we all agree. 10 and 9, we have the same guys: Christian Kirk, Mike Williams. It's really the top 8, I think, that are all debatable. 8, I think it's the best value, it's Allen Robinson, just because I think the 7 guys above him just clear him very easily.
I agree.
All the 7 guys above him are top 15 receivers. Maybe Allen Robinson's like that after, getting back with, or not getting back, but joining
Finally
Matt
having
Stafford.
an elite quarterback.
'Cause
I want you to
2019
keep going and name your list.
Okay, because 2019 and 2020, he had averaged 100 receptions, 1,200 yards, and 7 touchdowns with Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles. At number 7, almost died there, I have Terry McLaurin. I know there's a very, hardcore Terry McLaurin fan base.
You're not a big Terry guy.
We get into heated debates out the Patreon all the time about Terry versus AJ, Terry versus DJ Moore, whoever it might be.
I think
Metcalf.
Deontay's better.
Deontay, the names go on. And he's had terrible quarterback play. 2019, he played with Keenum, Haskins, Colt McCoy. 2020 was Alex Smith, Haskins, Kyle Allen. This past season, it was mostly Taylor Heineke. Fitzpatrick started a game. Garrett Gilbert, I forgot about that, started a game as well. And through it all, he never had less than 900 yards. Back-to-back seasons, over 1,000 yards in 2020 and 2021. And I'm starting to come around that he's going to be, I know I have been a bit of a Terry hater, according to you guys. I'm at wide receiver like 15 instead of 12, which makes me a hater. But with Carson Wentz, I know you did mention that catchable ball rate being the lowest in the NFL. I still think he's an upgrade over Taylor Heineke, and I think Terry McLaurin's going to have probably a career year, surpass 1,200 yards. So I'm coming around a little bit, and he's also the best contested catch receiver literally in the game. If you go at PFF, 25 contested catches last season, the most in the NFL. And number 6, I have A.J. Brown. He's my guy. He might be my favorite receiver, my second favorite receiver in the league. Him and Justin Jefferson has nothing to do with them being on my dynasty team, that's for sure. But I think it's funny that we get in these debates about A.J. Brown not being able to stay healthy. He's played 3 less games than Terry McLaurin. Nobody talks about Terry being injured. AJ's only played 3 less games than them. They came in the same draft, obviously. And I just think AJ's a little bit better. Through 3 years, 3,000 yards, 24 touchdowns. He averaged 70 yards per game. That was the same as Travis Kelce last year. And he's doing this on arguably the most run-heavy team in the NFL with Derrick Henry. In 2021, Tennessee had the most rushing attempts per game. 2020, the 3rd most. 2019, the 7th most. So although he's still on a rushing-heavy team, with the Eagles, he just got a $100 million contract. He's going to get looks. At 6, I have DJ Moore, 3 years, $61 million. Only $20 million per season.
At 5. DJ Moore 5.
At 5, sorry. $40 million guaranteed for a guy that has 3 straight seasons of 1,100 plus yards with really mid quarterback play. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater has probably been his best quarterback, who is probably like the 20th best quarterback on any given season. That may even be a little bit high. At number 4, I have Tyreek Hill. This top 4 is the elite of the elite. The only reason I have Tyreek at 4 is just because he's getting paid the most. He's getting the $30 million per season, the $72 million guarantee, which is second most, just behind Cooper Kupp by like $3 million or so. I have no worries with Tyreek Hill. I know people are skeptical with him and Tua because Tua doesn't have this big arm. Mahomes does. Tyreek Hill is going to be fine. On short passes last year, 0 to 9 yards. He had the 5th most receptions, 7th most yards. You have to remember that defenses played the Chiefs differently last year. They played that too high look, so Tyreek got a ton of looks underneath and over the middle of the field in intermediate. So Tyreek Hill's still going to be fine, even though he probably won't get as many broken 50-yard bombs like he did with Patrick Mahomes. At 3, I have Stephon Diggs. 4 years, about $100 million, $70 million guaranteed, only $24 million per year. I mean, that seems like a steal for a guy as good as Stephon Diggs. Year in and year out, he's been one of the best receivers in the league. Even going back to Minnesota, a bit underrated. Once he got to Buffalo, he really had his breakout season. At 2, I have Devontae Adams. $28 million per year, a little bit more, about $4 million more than Stephon Diggs, but $2 million less than Tyreek Hill. I didn't even realize this last year, but he's coming off a career season. He had the most targets, receptions, and yards of his career last year. I didn't even realize that until I looked at his Pro Reference stats last night. Also had the 5th highest pass rating when targeted. I mean, we know how great he is. And at number 1, I have Cooper Kupp. He's the best receiver in the league, or coming off the best wide receiver season. I don't think he's the best. I have him at 3, I want to say. But $75 million guaranteed. $25 million per season in terms of the guaranteed money.
You're taking Devontae and Jettas over Jamar.
Yeah.
And Kupp.
Yeah. I have Jettas 4 right now.
Whoa. So you think DJ Moore is better than Terry McLaurin?
I think they're neck and neck.
Who do you think is better, though?
I would rather have Terry.
It's really close. Slight edge DJ Moore, but I don't feel strongly
and you
about
think
it.
A.J. Brown's better than both?
Yeah.
Okay, so our list started with the same 3. Christian Kirk, Williams, and Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
I had DJ Moore at 7 because I think Terry McLaurin's better at 6. But you think you had Terry McLaurin at 7 and you had DJ Moore at 6.
I had DJ
and then
Moore at 5. I had AJ Brown 6.
Oh, okay. So your list is basically the best wide receivers.
No, because I would have AJ Brown above DJ Moore.
And I understand the value of DJ Moore. $20 million a year.
And I would have
someone that's been consistently on the field.
I would have Tay above Kupp.
So really not much is changing because we had Tyreek Hill at the same spot, I believe. We had Stephon Diggs at the same spot.
I had him at 3.
At 3. Yeah, I have him at 3 too.
So there's some differences.
It's very similar though.
There's 10 players and there's like 4 differences.
Yeah, but and your differences is because you think some are better. That's why.
Well, yeah, I said if I'm a GM, what contract do I want to give out? So it has to do with value and with what I think of the player, not just what I think of the player, because then it would be different.
I don't know. I think that if I'm a GM, I'm willing to give out the contract to the person who I think is better.
I don't disagree with that at all, but I'm looking at it from the lens of these contracts were already given out. Let me really evaluate the true value behind these.
I'm just bringing it up because you said, "Oh, you did it so wrong," and it's a similar list.
What's going to be a similar list regardless? We have like 4 of the best wide receivers in the league. They're all going to be in our top 4.
My list was definitely different.
DJ, AJ Brown, and Terry.
No, your list was more based on the value of it.
Where'd you have Allen Robinson?
I had Allen Robinson at 6.
Okay, so regardless, we had, because the top 4 are 4 of the best receivers in the league. Then the next 3, DJ, AJ Brown, and Terry, are all 3 guys that everyone debates. And then we have the obvious A-Rob, Mike Will, and Christian Kirk. You had him at 6, but I'm at 8. I don't remember where you had him, but like it's pretty obvious.
Who
Allen Robinson.
I had him at 8.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. I know, but if you think about it, you have 3 guys who are not bottom tier receivers, but aren't close to those other 7 guys.
The real difference was that you had Cooper Kupp at 1. I had him at 4. And it was the middle of it.
Cooper Kupp deserves to be 1, though.
It was DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, AJ Brown,
which everyone debates.
Yes, but you had DJ Moore over McLaurin because you think DJ Moore is better.
Because the contracts are similar.
Yeah, and you had AJ Brown behind DJ Moore, so you had DJ Moore at 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because $20 million for DJ Moore seems very cheap.
It's a good deal. Thinking about it now, I think I would put him over AJ Brown contract-wise and value-wise, given the fact that DJ is just the epitome of consistency. So, yeah, that would be the only thing that I would change thinking about it now. But even still, A.J. Brown, when he's on the field, is just...
And it hurt putting him
he's
over
him.
there. I love DJ Moore, too, though. He's within, like, 3 or 4 spots of AJ.
You know, I was really hoping that we had a Matt Ryan topic because I have so much ammunition for it.
Oh,
but
my God.
we're going to wait on that.
Thank God.
Because I know
Thank God it's right.
we're going to talk about
Talking
Matt
about
Ryan later,
way too
so,
much.
Way too much.
You know, I have some stats that are damning. And you passed this to me during the segment. This is a Gabriel Davis card. You know that every other day I'm getting tagged in a Gabriel Davis TikTok?
As you should.
Every other day.
As you should.
He's going to have a big time season.
You actually saw...
Emmanuel Sanders called him a Pro Bowl.
Am I part of the Gabriel Davis hype train also?
Do you want to be?
Not like the 1250 hype train, but like I'm definitely on the side that
Over
I
a K?
believe Gabriel. Yeah, I'm on that side for sure.
you saw Brett Coleman made a Colts video?
What did he say about him? I
He
did not
actually,
see it.
the title of the video was "The Indianapolis Colts are going to the Super Bowl."
He's a
But
smart guy.
you know what he's historically known for.
He's not a casual.
You know what he's historically known for.
Missing on quarterbacks.
No, he's known for every time he puts out a video, he curses whatever team he makes.
Well, Matt Ryan is not one of those guys that's going to be able to curse.
I don't know. Let me not.
Did you watch the whole video or you just saw the title?
No, I haven't watched it, but I saw he tweeted it out, and I meant to send it to you, actually.
You know, you actually got to watch that video so you can see what I see in the Colts.
They got a good team. I
They have
have them win the
they're
division.
stacked.
I have them win the
They're
division.
stacked.
I'm not over here saying they're going to miss the playoffs.
You're calling them like a first round playoff exit team.
They could be.
Yeah,
They could be.
the
With
AFC
Matty Ice,
stacked,
no
bro.
way.
Stop talking like Matty Ice is this all-time legend.
I would honestly bet that the Colts are better than the Broncos, bro.
How much you want to bet that?
In terms of
we're making
farther
a lot
to
of bets.
playoffs, records, I have some of mine written down. I'm not going to lie.
Your takes?
Some of our bets, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I have them already.
You know what I'm thinking? You know what Inside the NBA does when they have like a little whiteboard
You
and
were
they
telling
write
me
it
that.
down?
Yeah, we got to
Like
do
takes
that.
that we
It
really
could go right there.
This is a wall.
I would say we need something that I feel like they could see, though.
Yeah.
Maybe
could go
like,
right
No,
there and we
they
can
don't
keep
have to
track.
see it. We just keep track of it and you know.
So what's wrong with the wall? We can put a whiteboard right there on the wall.
Oh no, I thought you were talking
you
about
meant like
writing
a-
on the wall.
No.
Oh, you meant like a big-ass whiteboard?
That's why I said
No,
it's the
you get a
wall.
whiteboard, you put it right
I
there.
actually
we write
do have a
everything
whiteboard.
down.
I have a whiteboard.
It could
We
be
can- we
put
can do
right
it.
there.
Yeah, because
That's a wall.
I
Do I look like I'm
because-
stupid?
So imagine you just scribble on my wall.
Jesus Christ.
No, but yeah, I would love to do that because I'm gonna be like mostly right.
Okay.
Yeah. I am.
When you say
I'm almost
'cause
always right.
I'm on Broncos over Colts train for sure.
Broncos over Colts. Okay.
Do you mean the Broncos will go or the Colts will go farther in the playoffs, a better regular season record? What do you think by like?
Oh, as of now, better regular season record.
Okay.
And that's an L.
Yeah, and then
I'm 50-50 on that.
not only better regular season record, but when you guys meet in the regular season, they're gonna know.
I'll take where is it in Denver? Or?
I don't know. I think it might be
If it's in Denver, yeah, give me Denver easy.
Matt Ryan. Man, you be sleeping on him, man. He's so good.
I think we all agree here that he's like the 16th best quarterback in the league.
That's not an indictment. No. Hell no. He's top 15 easily.
I said 16, bro. Was he 14? Like, oh, sick.
That's
I
pretty
think
good.
when I did
That's
my
pretty big
quarterback rankings on my Twitter at Handrew5As, I believe that I put him pretty high. I think 13.
guy. You're a smart man.
Did you have him over Kirk Cousins?
I did have him over Kirk Cousins. And I do believe Matty's going to have a good season. It's just going to come down to the weapons if it's going to really deter him or not. But
I'm curious where you have that 11 to 15 range.
Dak Prescott 11, 12 Derek Carr, 13 Matt Ryan, 14 Kirk Cousins, 15. I have Hurts, but every part of me wants
I
to.
have Matt Ryan at 15.
Who do you have 16, 17?
I have 2 of 16, 17 Jameis Winston.
So for me, Lamar's 10, Kyler 11, Kirk 12, 13 Carr, 14 Dak, and 15 Matt.
List immediately gets
I
thrown
said
out once
16.
Kyler's at 11.
Yeah, but you said it very disrespectfully.
My
No,
bad,
because the if you're talking about 16, this is my list. 16, I have Jameis. 17 is Hurts. 18 is Zach Wilson.
So you're
19
saying there's
is
a tier
Wentz.
break?
They're definitely a tier
I know what you're
break.
saying. Yeah,
Matt Ryan is like great.
yeah. I would much rather have Matt Ryan than
He's
Jameis
like
Winston.
he's great. Like that guy is a Hall of Famer.
Is he?
I want to meet him.
Matt
man.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Wasn't it a question of whether Matthew Stafford was going to be a Hall of Famer before this year?
Matt Ryan's more of a Hall of Famer than Matt Ryan.
When you address
I mean, Matt Ryan's more of a Hall of Famer than Stafford.
when you talk about the real Matty
He
Ice,
just won a Super Bowl.
Come on.
and he had an amazing postseason run.
No, he did, but like,
And he actually didn't choke in the Super
bro,
Bowl.
if we're talking, Matt Ryan threw 3 touchdowns and 0 picks.
And what do you do in the second half, brother?
Nothing.
Bro, the defense sold.
But the defense could sell. The offense could also
yeah,
score.
A question: when the offense scores, the opposing team's offense scores, right?
Believe it or
The
not.
other team's offense gets the ball.
Believe it or not,
Do
yes.
they? Oh wow!
do.
Maybe I'm new to football.
I think they changed the rules.
Yeah, y'all are hating too much. You know that somebody who writes for The Athletic, Ted Nguyen, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He actually wrote an article about the Colts and Matt Ryan. And I'm just going to read you the headline in this tweet.
I'm crying that I don't know what to talk about the Colts this week.
That's what he said. Ryan is 3 seasons removed from a 35 touchdown pass season.
3 seasons nuts.
Listen, and doesn't look much different now than he did a few years ago. With a better supporting cast, I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan is one of the most productive quarterbacks in the league next season. You're looking like a casual, bro.
Bro looks happy as hell saying that.
No, because
Are we really going to talk about Matty Ice?
No, this is the last thing I'll say. Because I literally saw this from a mile away, and now everybody is currently writing about it and how he's gonna have this great season.
Everybody's on the Colts.
But I was first.
No,
though.
you were.
I like
sure.
early.
You were early. Yes,
early.
You were.
Now everybody's
I've
jumping
never
on the
slandered
train.
the Colts. Never, not once.
No, but you've always just been indifferent.
True.
You never picked a side.
Whoa! I am on the side that they will
Win the division.
They will win the division.
So am I.
And they
But
will.
he's looking at them as
And
like
Madison-
Super Bowl
and Bat-
contenders.
I'm looking at them as serious contenders.
See, but that's the crazy part.
It's not
That's where you
because
lose.
Alec Pierce is gonna have 1,000 yards.
Oh man.
No, I'm playing. No, you know who's gonna have?
You
a big
didn't even
time?
mention Jelani Woods, bro.
That he's gonna be huge.
You didn't even mention Jelani Woods.
Huge. You know who's
less
gonna
than
have a big
500
time year
yards.
though? For real, for real.
Jelani Woods.
Paris Campbell.
Oh,
I'm telling you, it's happening this year.
I think Alec Pierce can have more yards than Paris Campbell.
Matty
Paris
Ice
Campbell.
loves his tight ends. It would not surprise me if Jelani had a big year.
Did you
As
see?
a rookie,
Jelani has the physical attributes to put up, what, 500? It's possible.
he has the physical attributes, yeah. But historically, rookies tight ends just really don't do anything.
We'll
and
see.
he was what, a 3rd round, 4th round pick.
Given the fact, yes, you're right. But tight
Alec
ends not
Pierce is gonna have a
necessarily-
really good
Like,
year.
if you're great, you get drafted in the 1st round for sure. But
Yeah.
tight ends usually get, I mean, George Kittle was, what, a 4th rounder? Am I wrong about that?
Might have been 5th.
My point being is, with the lack of weapons in this Colts offense, if Jelani shows out in training camp and he impresses early, it would not be a shock to me if he
I think
started.
You
we're
guys say
definitely gonna
that, but
see-
like, I think Alec Pierce is really a
I'm
sleeper.
with you. I'm not
He's
saying. I mean,
so
he was a
good.
2nd round pick.
I
know,
think we're
like-
definitely
no,
going to see
yeah, but-
Jelani Woods put up some crazy videos in training camp just because he's
He's a
athletically
freak.
a freak.
He is.
Yes.
And he,
Paris
he's
Campbell's been
fast.
putting those
Yeah.
up.
He ran a
Yeah.
4.51, I think.
Yeah, he's the most athletic tight end of all time.
Over
in terms of
Kyle Pitts.
In terms of RAS score, yeah.
I
He
believe
was a
that because
10
he's
out of
6'7".
10.
All I'm saying is that. Oh, did you guys see this PFF post that they did earlier? It was, I think Michael Pittman said that we're gonna be scary, and PFF posted the quote with the picture of like their wide receiver core, and it was like Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Paris Campbell, and like people commenting on that.
As they should.
No,
That
but
wide
as they
rec-
should.
It's the
Seriously,
worst
though?
wide receiver room in the NFL.
No, it's not. The
Jaguars
is
are the
worse.
only ones that
The
rival.
Bears.
I would Mooney and MPJ. I would take MPJ easy.
Bro,
But-
honestly, like I think you guys are sleeping on their core. I think it's not as bad as people think.
I'm exaggerating.
You know,
They're bottom
actually-
5. Bottom 5.
They're so
I
bad.
started a franchise with them in Madden. I'm like 5-0 right now.
Playing the computer.
Did you trade for
Yeah.
Jettas?
No, I have the core. I actually signed Julio, but I released him because I wanted
Locker
Alec
measures?
Pierce.
Oh.
My Alec Pierce has been so good for me, and Paris Campbell takes the top off the defense.
I also heard Madden 23 might be available on Game Pass day 1.
Hot.
Yes.
Hot.
Yes.
The fact that they're turning Game Pass to Netflix just gets me
What?
going.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
facts. Yeah, it's tough. Super tough.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go on to the part of the show where we give our NFC North predictions, and we're gonna start from the best team in the NFC North last season to the worst team. So first up, the Green Bay Packers. Now the Packers finished 13-4 last season, and the big question mark with them this year is the wide receiver room going to hold them back? People have been saying Minnesota could be better than them this year. They lost Devontae Adams. Now you're looking at a core that Sammy Watkins is their best receiver. Alan Lazard, hopefully he breaks out. They drafted Christian Watson. Randall Cobb is still there. So it's not the void of talent, but it's definitely the void of great talent or established talent. So how do you feel about the Packers coming into the season?
I am definitely not low on them when it comes to the regular season. The Packers are going to be the Packers in the regular season like they've been over these last couple of years. But come playoff time, they're going to feel it. and I know that we're doing a predictions on the regular season, but when we're talking about the Packers, when you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, you're automatically going to associate them with the playoffs because I do believe they will be a playoff team. Spoiler, I do have them winning the division as well. But with a room of Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins, and Christian Watson, who I am high on, I think Christian Watson's going to have a fine season, and it would not be a shock to me at all that Christian Watson finds himself as the wide receiver 1 in this wide receiver room. But the fact that this wide receiver room is as not experienced enough for my liking, and by experienced I mean I guess
production.
Experienced. Thank you very much. The lack thereof production, where Sammy Watkins has had a couple fine seasons, but the Lizard King, shout out to the fantasy footballers. He's a week 1 shiner, right? He comes out week 1, he's absolutely all world. Rest of the season, you can't expect that. Not nowhere near that type of production. And when he was on the Ravens, he was underwhelming. But ultimately, I do worry about this wide receiver core come playoff time. I don't think it'll impact them too much during the regular season. Their defense is going to be unbelievable this year. It could potentially be a top 5 defense in the league. And when you have Aaron Rodgers, especially during the regular season, where he is, him and Peyton Manning are the 2 regular season kings in my opinion. I think when I think of the regular season, I think Peyton Manning's the greatest regular season quarterback that we will ever see. And then right after that is Aaron Rodgers. Coming off back-to-back MVPs, Aaron Rodgers, without a doubt, is still, at minimum, a top 4 quarterback in the NFL, at minimum. To get to it, though, with my record prediction, I actually have the Packers going 12-5 to go through it really quick. Week 1, I have them losing at Minnesota, and that's not indicative of how I believe Minnesota is going to be this season. Just I think week 1 at Minnesota, I think Minnesota comes out with something to prove and they lose that game. Have them beating Chicago. At Tampa Bay, I have them losing. Versus New England, I have them winning. Versus the Giants, I have them winning. Versus the Jets, I have them winning. Versus Washington, at Washington, I have them winning. At Buffalo, loss. At Detroit, loss. Versus Dallas, W. Versus Tennessee, W. At Philly, W. At Chicago, W. Bye week. Versus the Rams, I have them losing. At Miami, I have them winning. Versus Minnesota, I have them winning. Versus Detroit, I have them winning for a record of 12-5.
So originally the question was about the wide receiver core. Am I correct?
Correct.
So
Well, it's
just Packers in general.
But
I
it
know.
is a prediction of their
the
season.
topic list, yeah. Very famous topic list. The Packers wide receiver core, you have to be terrified, I think, if you're a Packers fan, because at this point, having a good regular season just isn't enough. We were talking in the Discord yesterday and to Joey about the Steelers, about how the last 10 years, they've been a good team in the regular season. They've won the division multiple times. Obviously, Mike Tomlin never under 500 record at any single season. But in the playoffs, the Steelers have 3 playoff wins in the last 10 years. I don't know the Packers off the top of my head. They have more than 3. I'm pretty positive about that. But at this point, it's not enough for the Packers to just be good in the regular season, because I do have them win the division. It's only by 1 game between them and Minnesota. So I'm not 100% confident that it's going to be the Packers and they're going to be the 1 seed. But if you look at all the playoff teams from last year and you look at their wide receiver core compared to the Packers wide receiver core of this year, it stacks up against 2 teams, the Patriots and the Eagles. And those 2 teams got smoked in the first round, and it wasn't even close. All of the other teams, Titans with A.J. Brown, Chiefs, Tyreek, Kelsey, Bill, Stephon Diggs, Bengals, obviously Jamar T, Raiders with Waller and Renfro, Steelers, Deontay and Claypool. And then the NFC, you had the Bucks, who were without Godwin, but still had Mike Evans and obviously Tom Brady. Cowboys with Cooper and CeeDee. The Rams with Kupp and Odell before he got hurt. The Cardinals with D-Hop. 49ers with Kittle and Debo. All of these other teams have elite options at one or another, or at least a really good option like a Deontay Johnson, or even Devontae Smith clears everybody on the Packers. Not even
100%.
close. So I think if you're a Packers fan,
Christian Watson?
you have to, clears Christian Watson.
Don't get me going.
Clears
please.
Christian Watson.
Don't get me going.
You have to be worried if you're a Packers fans, but you have LaFleur, you have Rodgers, so I think that the regular season you'll be fine. I think Aaron Jones is due for a career year in terms of receiving game. He had 52 receptions last year. He might have 70 this offseason.
Great analysis. I forgot to mention that as well, but 100% true.
And A.J. Dillon has to see an increase in workload as well if he's going to get Aaron Jones going to get that much receiving work. I think A.J. Dillon will be utilized as well.
Another breakout year as well.
They're 2 best offensive options by far. But at the end, I have them at, what was the record? 11-6. What'd you have them?
I have them 12-5.
12-5?
I'm interested in your losses.
The losses I actually do have them losing week 1 at Minnesota. I have at Tampa Bay as a loss, at Buffalo, at Philly, against the Rams.
At Philly. Okay, that's the only difference we have. Okay. I have them losing to Detroit also. So interesting.
Whoa.
Maybe I did my thing wrong.
You're very high in Detroit, so
Kind
it
of.
wouldn't shock me.
Very kind of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you have 6 losses?
I have 11. Oh, did I just say 5? 1, 2, 3. Or I only have 5 on the schedule. I think so. Kind of what I do with the schedule when I do these predictions, I go through and I give everyone their wins and losses. And then once I have that set, so I have them at 12-5, I kind of just, how do I feel about the team? I'm saying, like, do I really like this team? I'll give them, okay, like, because on every schedule, there's like 2 or 3 games that could go either way.
I'm fine with
so
that.
I gave them an extra loss. I'm at 11-6.
I can name you the 6 losses because I have 11-6 as well. They split with Minnesota. I think they sweep Chicago and Detroit. I really do. I know last year
Detroit.
Last year they didn't sweep Detroit, but that's because they didn't play their starters week 17, or week 18, whatever it is. You know how the NFL stuff goes.
Yeah, Rodgers played
and
like a half.
Jordan Love played. Jordan Love played that game. So Minnesota lost. Tampa Bay. I do have them losing to Buffalo. I have them losing to the Rams, which is 4. And then I think tough games for them is definitely Tennessee. I think that's a tough game. I think Dallas is a tough game.
Agreed.
And I think Miami's also a tough game. I don't think that's a slouch.
No, definitely not.
So those are 3 games that I think are toss-ups. And based on how Dallas is, I think Dallas can definitely beat them. They can shock them. And possibly Tennessee or Miami. I think they can definitely shock them. So those are the losses I have for them. But their schedule is relatively easy. Chicago, they're pushovers. New England is a much worse roster. Both New York teams, even though the Jets would be, I think, more competitive, they're still a very young team, and the Packers have a great defense.
Detroit lost twice?
Yeah, I do think so, yeah.
They're competitive.
Yeah, I think, okay, and I can respect that fine. I think that Detroit, their offense is much better this season. However, to your guys' credit, Green Bay's defense is going to be elite this season.
Yeah.
And then Washington also, I think they can beat them. Philadelphia is definitely a toss-up
I'd be
game.
surprised for Washington.
I'm worried for when we do our our NFC East predictions because I have Washington losing a ton of matchups.
Yeah.
A ton. And maybe because their defense was very underwhelming last season, that's why I'm so low going into the season. But if they're healthy, who knows? Their secondary still is not good at all.
But yeah, the year before they had an elite defense.
They were amazing. That's why they're hard to project, especially with Carson Wentz coming in now. That offense should be a little bit better, but we're not talking about them.
Back too.
Yeah.
The reason why I would have the Packers beating the Eagles is because I'm still not sold on Jalen Hurts all the way. And one thing about the Packers is that regardless of what you want to say about the wide receiver core, Robert Tonyan's coming back, who
doesn't move me.
He might not move you. I don't think he pushes the needle crazy.
Not at all.
But he's a reliable option for
He is
Rodgers.
somebody that should have been a Pro Bowler in 2020. He should have made it over Evan Ingram. That's a fact.
If your competition is Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram made the Pro Bowl, though.
No, but
the tight end position is actually good now, though. Now it's good.
I would say 2-3 years ago.
So Robert Tonyan, I think he definitely helps them in that department.
The 2020 season, he had 580 yards. Like, he had 11 touchdowns.
Come on. Like, we get it.
I know, but
it's not a lot of yards, but 11 touchdowns is impressive.
I know, but tight ends could just get into touchdowns.
Like, dude, when Mike Williams has 664 yards, I'm not impressed. But then I look at 10 touchdowns, and automatically you have to give him that respect.
Do you think Robert Tonyan gets 11 touchdowns?
Absolutely no way. Absolutely
That's
no way.
what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is that I think people are looking way too into the wide receiver thing because ultimately the Packers are still going to be able to move the ball. Matt LaFleur has shown that he's one of the better coaches in the league. Aaron Rodgers finds a way all the time, at least in a regular season. And in the playoffs, he doesn't play as bad as people would like to make it seem like. They lose.
He was poopy this last season.
He was.
Okay.
But
don't
it was
get
also,
confused. We're not
also
saying...
hard conditions. Well, okay, let me finish. They still had the 10th ranked offense last season. 13th ranked defense. They had a 32nd ranked special teams unit. Rich Bisaccia, who's a special teams head coach, he's a specialist. That number's going up. The reason why the Packers lost in the playoffs was special teams. They got a punt blocked. It literally in their own end zone.
We could say they lost because of the special teams.
Well, that was the game breaking.
Also,
play.
I don't disagree.
That shifted the momentum.
But you have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
You have Devontae Adams. Aaron Jones, who had over 100 yards receiving that game.
Well, you're right. What I'm saying, though, is that the 49ers were not able to move the ball that game. The only reason they put those points up on the board was because of that blocked punt.
I don't disagree at all.
I don't know if they have a different punter, but they still have Mason Crosby. who's up
I'm
and
not
down
out
every
on
year.
him. I'm not out. I mean,
he has
Mason's-
years. He's great.
He's really good. Mason's still a really good kicker.
And we're talking about a Packers
Love
team
you
last
talking
year.
about kickers, man. I love it.
We're
Don't
talking
sleep.
about a Packers team last year who defensively were 13th ranked, 8th against the pass, and Jair Alexander did not
100%.
play
And
last year.
Darius Smith, another one.
So now you have Jair Alexander coming back, Eric Stokes second year,
Yep.
Rasul Douglas who jumped on the scene, and this 18th ranked defense against the run is going to be better because I mean their front seven is really really good. They drafted
Really
Quay
good.
Walker, linebacker, Devontae Wyatt, defensive lineman. So now your front seven is Preston Smith, Kenny Clark, Dean Lowry. They signed Jerron Reed, Rashawn Gary, who I think is going to
Beast.
have a breakout
Beast.
season. They still have Devondre Campbell. Now you add in Quay Walker.
Wish we got him.
This front seven is arguably one of the better ones in football, and their offensive line is healthy this year. You're getting David Bakhtiari back. Elton Jenkins is coming back because he missed most of the season this past season. So I think Green Bay is going to be a run-first team. Like you mentioned, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, they're a top 5 duo in terms of running backs in the NFL, and it really just depends on what type of version are you getting out of Sammy Watkins. Is he going to be a bit better? Is
He's
Alan
getting you
Lazard
700 yards.
is he poised for a potential breakout?
He's also
You know,
getting
what do you
700 yards.
Look, I think Alan Lazard is a good receiver. Is he a great one?
You're not
He's
hearing
not
that out
a
of my
he's
Is he
mouth.
not
better than Christian Kirk?
he can have a more productive season than him.
He's not
yes.
better than Christian Kirk.
I'm not
As someone who's low on Christian Kirk, I would take.
I think Christian Kirk clears Alan Lazard. I'll
Easy.
be honest. He
Easy.
clears him.
I think Alan Lazard is gonna at least have 800 yards this year receiving.
Dude, listen, it's not the craziest thing to say given the opportunity he's
Yeah.
going to have.
800.
And Christian Watson, to me,
He's a beast.
I'm very high
I'm
on
excited.
him.
I'm excited.
So it really depends on if these unproven receivers to this point can hopefully take that next step. But that's the only position group on the Packers that you look at and it's not good. But every other one, they have a top safety duo. They have a top cornerback room. So they have a top secondary room in football. Their linebacking core is really good, much improved from years past. They have one of the better defensive lines. They have one of the better running back committees. They have a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, 2-time MVP back-to-back. And their offensive line is healthy. It could be a top 10 unit. And Robert Tonyan isn't a scrub. So this team is very good. If they make one midseason trade, like for example, back in 2019, the 49ers wide receiver room was very bad. They traded for Emmanuel Sanders midseason and were able to go on a Super Bowl run and make it. They lost to the Chiefs, but they were able to do that. There's a potential chance that the Packers are trading for a wide receiver midseason, and that pushes them over the top.
there are still
but-
wide receivers available on the free agent market too.
Julio.
How washed is Julio Jones that he's not signed right now? That's pretty upsetting to me. Given the
His
fact
hamstrings,
given the fact that Julio's a legend of the game, it really is disappointing to see that he's not able to fully recover and get back on the field. And another name, Odell Beckham Jr. The fact that he's available and the fact that the Packers haven't been banging his
I
line.
can't play though.
Odell's going to get signed in like October or something.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets signed because he's not going to be in training camp.
Of course, no doubt. But you still need to make sure that no other team has
know.
you know what I'm saying? The
Yeah, but
Packers
then you also have to
especially-
pay him for a whole year opposed to you pay him in October.
Okay,
Teams are going to think of it like that.
I mean, for me, I have the Packers at 11-6 this year. I do have them winning the division.
Yep.
I have the Vikings right there,
Me too.
but it's just
right there.
it's not that
I'm
I
a game
have
behind him.
it's not that I have a lot of question marks about the Vikings. It's just that I trust Aaron Rodgers a lot. And in previous years past, when I've picked against the Packers, they have won.
Hasn't gone well.
And I just can't pick it one more time. I feel like I can't bet against Aaron Rodgers.
So we're all on the same page. They're going to be great in the regular season. We're both out on them in terms of playoffs.
I'm not completely out. Look, I think they can do something in the playoffs. The NFC
Really?
is weak.
First year, Joel is putting his chips into Green Bay's basket. So
I mean, I don't
Maybe.
look. I think they definitely need to make a midseason trade or a trade for an established wide receiver. But this defense can be a top 5 defense in the league.
Agreed.
I mean, and that's Aaron Rodgers, when he's had that great of a defense, they have won.
Last year they had a great defense.
Not this good though.
No, I don't disagree.
It was 13th
But they had their
ranked.
guys healthy in the playoffs.
It was 13th ranked. Yeah, but Jair Alexander was still dealing with the shoulder injury.
There's always something, right?
Yeah, it is.
Everyone's going to get banged
It is.
up.
Yeah, no, but Jair was coming back.
course,
fresh.
yeah.
I'm excited
Yes,
to talk
of
about
course.
this next team.
Yeah, let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, in years past, There have been expectations for them, and they have not lived up to it. Since 2017, when Case Keenum went on a miraculous run, the Vikings made the move to go sign Kirk Cousins and thought that was a move to take him over the top. To this point, only one playoff win, have missed the playoffs in multiple seasons back-to-back now. And really, it's can we trust the Vikings to take over the NFC North this season? Last season, they were 8-9. They had 8 losses by 1 score. Mike Zimmer gets fired, though, and now Kevin O'Connell is a new head coach coming in, and it's going to be offense, all in on offense this year. So do you think this is the year that the Vikings do take over the NFC North?
No, unfortunately not. I do still have my worries about this defense. They made some really good moves this offseason trying to definitely help out this defense that needed help after last year being one of the worst defenses in the league. You add Zadarius Smith, Jordan Hicks to the front 7, that's huge. You draft Louis Cine to play alongside Harrison Smith, who Harrison Smith's getting up there in age. You know, Harrison Smith's going to be that vet that's going to teach Lewis some things, how to hold down that safety position. The defense definitely could be improved, but then you go and you look at the secondary. You have Pat Pete playing the cornerback, and he was pretty bad last season. And you have Cam Dantzler, who's not that horrible, but they really
He's good.
They do lack depth at the cornerback position. And ultimately, in a pass-first league at this point in time, unless you're the Ravens, of course, and, you throw in the Eagles out of respect. That being said, you got to have a solid secondary, and Minnesota just doesn't have that as of right now, and it does worry me. To go through their record, their schedule really quick, I have them, like I mentioned earlier, I have them beating Green Bay week 1. I have them losing to Philadelphia week 2. Week 3, I have them beating Detroit. Week 4 versus New Orleans, I have them winning. Week 5 versus Chicago, I have them winning. At Miami, I have them losing. Now they have their bye week. Versus Arizona, I have them losing. At Washington, I have them winning. At Buffalo, I have them losing. Versus Dallas, I have them losing. Versus New England, I have them winning. Versus Jets, I have them winning. At Detroit, this is a loss. Versus Indianapolis, this is a loss. Versus the New York Giants, I have them winning. At Green Bay, I have them losing. And in Week 18, I do have them beating Chicago at Chicago for a 9-8 record.
9-8.
Now, I kind of want to go next on this, Joe.
My guess.
Minnesota.
Special place.
I love me some Minnesota
Special place in
sports.
your heart.
The Minnesota Vikings, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who just signed Kyle Anderson. Big time signing, needs some wing depth to help my man out, Anthony the Ant-Man Edwards. The Vikings, I want to believe in them. I really do. 8 losses by 1 score last year. Last season should have been the season that they proved me right.
100%.
But I haven't sold my entire stock on the Minnesota Vikings. This team can easily win the NFC North this upcoming season. Last year, 14th ranked offense, 24th ranked defense, though, under a guy who we view as a defensive guru in Mike Zimmer. They were 28th against the pass, though, 26th against the run. But the great thing about this team is that it's a brand new coaching staff. Mike Zimmer took all the life out of this team. The Vikings players have talked about how it's a much different environment now. Kevin O'Connell has brought life to this team. Offense coordinator Wes Phillips, defense coordinator Ed Donatel, and he's been the defense coordinator the past 3 years for the Denver Broncos. Now coming to Minnesota, they're going to run a 3-4 scheme, and they have the personnel to do it. You have your linebackers in Eric Kendricks, Jordan Hicks, who's very good in coverage, and you have good run stoppers and pass rushers. You have Zadarius Smith, who you signed, who if he stays healthy, next to Danielle Hunter, that's one of the better edge rushing duos in the NFL. You signed a guy in Harrison Phillips from Buffalo, who's one of the better run stoppers in the NFL.
For sure.
You still have Dalvin Tomlinson. And then you add Albert Wilson, a wide receiver for depth on the offensive side. Irv Smith Jr. is healthy, and he's a guy who has a lot of talent but just hasn't been able to figure it out yet.
Yeah.
But these are the two things that are really holding me back from going all in on Minnesota. The offensive line is still a question mark. They're bringing back the same guys outside of, it's basically the same guys, but you're hoping Christian Darrisaw takes a step forward from his rookie year and is now a very good starter for you. And defense, it just depends on health. Danielle Hunter hasn't been the healthiest. They just brought in Darius Smith, who was hurt all of last year. So their defense depends a lot on health. And they did improve the secondary, but it's not something that really moves me.
Agreed.
Dantzler's really good. I like Dantzler.
Okay.
Patrick Peterson, is he at least going to be a solid corner? We'll see. And then they drafted Andrew Booth Jr., who has a lot of talent, but he's not great in press. He sags off a lot. He gets his hips turned a lot, but he is a very good and aggressive tackler. He does have the physical tools to be good, but will the NFL game be too fast for him? That's to be determined. And Lewis Seen, who they drafted in the first round out of Georgia, who's a very hard-hitting safety, very fast. He was a pivotal part in Georgia's defense last year on that national championship run. So they made improvements there. What I'll say about the Vikings, I'm pretty sure Justin Jefferson might have the most productive wide receiver season this upcoming year, because Kevin O'Connell, coming from the Rams, is going to play him like Cooper Kupp, a lot of mismatches. And Kirk Cousins, he's my guy. He's Captain Kirk. He's my dude.
He's no Matty Staffy.
Kirk Cousins is somebody who gets so disrespected because he's not flashy. Can he extend plays? That's not in his game. But can he run an offense effectively and do what the coaching staff tells him to do? 100%. In Minnesota, he's had Kevin Stefanski as an offense coordinator, Gary Kubiak, then Gary Kubiak's son, Clint Kubiak. And through all these years, he's had his best seasons. 124 touchdowns, 36 interceptions, 16,387 yards, 68% completion percentage, and a 103.5 passer rating. He's played like a top 10 quarterback. And in Kevin O'Connell's offensive system, which is basically Sean McVay's offensive scheme, all he has to do is run the offense effectively. And that's what he's going to do. He's not going to be asked to extend or do any of that. If the offensive line can hold up, I love this team. Jettas, Thielen, Osborne, Albert Wilson is the depth guy. Irv Smith Jr., Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison.
Don't sleep. I know you sleep on Alex. You sleep on Alex.
Minnesota has a chance to be the best team in this division, and I wouldn't be shocked. But ultimately, I think their schedule is a bit tough. You do face Green Bay, who I think they split. Philadelphia isn't a slouch. You have to face the Saints in week 4, but it is a home game, so that helps. But the Saints aren't slouches, and the Saints are going to have one of the better defenses in the NFL. Miami isn't a slouch. You face Arizona week 8 when DeAndre Hopkins is scheduled to come back. So that's not a slouch, because now you're going up against DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown. Is your secondary going to hold up? Buffalo, you face them. You face Dallas. You face Indianapolis. This isn't an easy schedule. But ultimately, I think they do have enough games in the schedule that are winnable. And I have them at 11-6, 10-7. I will say they go 11-6, and it's going to be a tiebreaker between the Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. So I say 11-6, and I have them as finishing with the same record as Green Bay. So I think it's going to be a toss-up. They can win this division, and I hope this is the year they do it, because they have a really good roster. But we have to see if Kevin O'Connell can get the most out of his roster.
That was a beautiful soliloquy, bro. You really broke that team down very well.
Thanks, dude.
Good job.
Thanks.
The one thing that I don't have much to add on. You talked about every position. But the one thing that kills me is whenever people talk about Justin Jefferson playing the Cooper Kupp role, like he just put up 100 catches, 1,600 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I think Justin Jefferson's going to have a very similar season. So the only way he gets in even that conversation is going to have to break like 2,000 yards, because Kevin O'Connell, I'm excited for him, but I don't think Jetta's role changes much, right? Like he's obviously
Jettas is going to Jettas.
He's my favorite receiver in the league. I think he's the best wide receiver in the league too. I think after this season, most people are it's gonna be consensus that he's number one. Jamar's gonna be right there without a doubt.
Thank you for throwing
Tay's
respect
still gonna
on
be
that
there,
boy's name.
and Cooper Kupp is still probably gonna get at least 1,500 yards.
Yeah.
I have him going 10-7. Like I said, they're a game behind the Packers, so it just takes a game here or there for it to change my mind or to go the other way. But at the end of the day, I'm just taking Rodgers on the floor over Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell, first-time head coach. That's really the tiebreaker for me. The Packers also just have the better team all the way around.
Outside of the receiving room and stuff.
Yes, yeah, of course, which is obviously very important. We saw last season, every team except 2 had an elite option of some kind. So I'm excited to see this Vikings team, what they look like. I saw Jetta say, I'm happy we're not a run-first team anymore. Dalvin Cook's still going to get 20 carries a game, so I don't know exactly what he's talking about.
And let my boy get in the passing game, too.
Yeah, which he will.
I mean,
more than happy with
that's a great point, though, because Mike Zimmer was a conservative head coach, and he loved to run the ball. Now switching to a pass-happy offense, this is going to help Kirk. It's going to help those weapons, and it's going to help the offensive line as well. Mm-hmm. So I think this is the switch that they needed to make because they've had great weapons.
Yeah.
So going all in on the run never made much sense, even though Dalvin is great.
Phenomenal.
But this is a pass-happy league.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you win in the NFL by passing the ball.
And Kirk could get it done.
He can. More than capable. He's a captain.
We're going to have to see. We're going to have to wait and see about that.
He's a captain. Captain Kirk.
2 of the best teams in the league coming up. Here we go.
It's crazy
All
because
right.
Kirk's the highest paid player, and I'll tell you what, I'm taking a lot of players, and a lot is strong, but I'm taking play on his team.
Oh, facts. Well, Judd is on a rookie contract.
I'm taking a few guys over.
Dalvin's a running back.
I mean, Dalvin, give me Dalvin.
I'm not taking Dalvin over Kirk Cousins.
I would.
I'm not taking a running back over a quarterback.
Dalvin's
especially
a different type
top
of guy.
15 quarterback.
And then we're talking about
That's
top
crazy.
5 running back.
Yeah, that doesn't change anything.
Arguably top 4.
We just saw the
arguably
Colts.
top 3.
We just saw the Colts have a top running back and missed the playoffs because they didn't have the quarterback with the stacked roster.
And Minnesota has the quarterback, missed the playoffs too. So
a horrible defense. If you have an average defense and a top 15 quarterback, you're not missing the playoffs. You're not. The Vikings were bottom 20 defense.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Let's just go to the next topic.
What would you rather? Dalvin Cook or Kirk
That's such a
Cousins?
weird question.
It is super weird. I'm just saying in terms of who is a better football player. I don't know.
It's a quarterback and a running back.
I know, but like
things.
Kirk and I guess I understand what you're saying.
The value of a quarterback is just
like
supersedes a running back.
Of course.
How much is
no
Dalvin
doubt.
getting paid a year?
Not that much.
Yeah,
I think 12.
I was gonna say it's not more than like 15. Kirk's getting what, 30? We just had an extension.
5 years,
actually.
$63 million. He's getting 12.6 a year.
That's a steal. That's valid.
He's so good. He's so
But yeah, I mean,
good.
Kirk Cousins, like, I could find a running back. Like, I'll take
Of
Kirk
course,
Cousins,
I get it.
Yeah, it's easy. Just start Alexander Madison.
I was gonna say because you said in all aspects, and I thought about it like maybe the running back group of the Packers, maybe you'd take over them because A.J. Dillon has like a defined role in their offense. But then you remember, oh wow, Alexander Madison almost every single time he plays, it seems as if he has 100 yards.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe it's a little bit more.
No,
of a
I think Aaron
conversation
Jones
than we
and
think.
A.J. Dillon clear that duo.
Clear is insane, given the fact that
I don't think it's
Dalvin is.
I don't think it's insane either.
Dalvin is definitely better than Jones and Dillon for sure.
AJ Dillon clears Alexander Madison.
For sure, no doubt about that. But
there's a sizable gap.
Alexander Madison is definitely not a bum. Nowhere near the word bum. He's more close to really good as opposed to being sorry. Alexander Madison's like that.
He's a backup.
On to the last two teams. It's going to be the Bears and the Lions. We'll start with the Bears. So the Bears finished 6-11 this past season. And fun fact, the Bears have an under of 6.5 wins this year. And it is the most...
Smash.
Yes.
Smash it.
But listen to this. It is the most lopsided win total bet at Caesar Sports this offseason. Over 95% of bets are on the under.
Yo, 6.5 is crazy.
So everybody is betting against the Chicago Bears. So the topic for the Bears season is, will the Bears be better than we think? Or are we following the 95% at Caesar Sports?
I'll tell you what.
It doesn't make me feel good.
Fair enough.
That 95% of people say the under.
I get it. But you know what? Sometimes you really just can't run away from what your eyes are telling you, right? In my notes, you asked me, will the Bears be better than we think? My first 3 lines, hell no, all caps, exclamation point, these brothers are horrible. And 3, I feel for my guy, Justin Fields. Because I really do. I like Justin Fields. I think that he has the intangibles, and I look at his game, and I think that he has some things that you can work with if you want him to be your franchise guy. He showed flashes last season of that being true against Pittsburgh, relatively against Green Bay, even though, yes, to Joel's point, it was 2 passes that showed the stat line being a little bit better than what it actually was. But regardless of that, he showed moments that he could be really good in this league. But what did they do to really help him out on the offensive side of the ball? Not much at all. The offensive line did not improve that much at the wide receiver position. It's Darnell Mooney and who? Could you tell me? Right? Because Pringle just got arrested.
I could name their entire wide receiver.
Wow, Pringle just got arrested?
I think he got in trouble.
Like a couple months ago.
And with the run game, David Montgomery is one of the better running backs in the league. Not among like the top 10, but he is definitely on the higher end at the running back position for sure. But defensively, this defense is not good.
It's scary.
It's really not that good. You have Robert Quinn, Roquan Smith. That's about it. Secondary.
Jalen
Johnson is in the secondary.
Eddie Jackson.
And Jalen Johnson was underwhelming last season. Eddie Jackson, for sure, he's one of the guys that you have to respect. He is the guy you have to respect in that secondary. But I look at this team overall, and it does not make me feel good whatsoever. I'm really down on them to the point that I do, in fact, have them under 6 wins. And I have them under 5 wins. I have them under 4 wins. I have them under 3 wins. I have them winning 2 games. And I'll read you the games that I have them winning. Forget about the losses.
Let's just go through the schedule. And let's
all of us?
Yeah,
you know what I like?
Pick.
Did I just hit it right on the nail for all of us? Or
no, I just want to see, because this is something I would like to post on TikTok, and let's see
Bears
where
fans,
the Bears
fans are very emphatic.
Because I've said it before. I think the Bears are the worst roster in the NFL.
I agree.
I had them ranked 32 in my power rankings, and Bears fans went crazy. But let's go through the schedule. So
I'm glad it's not just me, because Bears fans, I'm the Justin Fields truther. All they do is shit on me.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. What is there really to praise?
Nothing.
Darnell Mooney,
David
Montgomery, and 50% Justin Fields. And I say 50% because he's still young.
Yeah.
this is the Chicago Bears schedule this upcoming season. So let's give our predictions. Week 1 versus San Fran.
Loss.
You keep track of 0-1 stuff like that.
Okay.
Green Bay Packers week 2.
Loss.
Week 3 versus the Houston Texans.
Oh, you have them losing, I'm assuming?
Win.
Yeah, of course, against Green Bay. Yeah, of course.
Houston, you have them winning. Really? I have them losing.
They need to win somewhere.
I do
have them winning.
I think they beat Houston week 3.
Houston's a little bit better.
I agree.
Week 4 at the Giants.
Loss.
Loss as well. Week 5 at Minnesota.
Loss
as well. Week 6 versus Washington.
Loss
as well. Week 7 at New England.
Loss.
I think that's a loss as well. Week 8 at Dallas.
Loss.
Week 9 versus Miami.
Loss.
Week 10 versus Detroit.
Win.
I have them winning here.
I think this is a win as well. Week 11 at Atlanta.
I have them winning here.
I think it's a win as well. Week 12 at the Jets. Loss as well. Week 13 versus Green Bay. Loss. Now, week 14, what is their record? This is their bye week.
You have them. You have 2 wins. You have 2 wins.
I have 3 wins.
I apologize.
Yeah, I have 3. I have versus Houston.
Correct.
I have versus Houston versus Detroit and at Atlanta.
Correct.
So 3.
You have 3. You have 3. I have 2.
Week 14 bye is so brutal too
It
for
is,
a team like this that is going to get off to
They
a
don't
rough
have a
start.
break.
Young quarterback.
Week 15 versus Philadelphia.
Loss.
Week 16 versus Buffalo. Loss. Week 17 at Detroit.
Loss.
This is a loss. And week 18 versus Minnesota.
Loss.
That's a loss as well. So for me, I have them finishing 3-14.
Me too.
I have them 2-15.
It's sad, man, because I was very high on Justin Fields coming out, and Chicago has failed him up to this point. I mean, they obviously traded away their first-round pick this year to trade up last year to get Justin Fields, and their only addition in the draft was getting Velez Jones, who is a 25-year-old rookie, 6 years in college. It wasn't until his sixth year, that he put up more than 300 receiving yards. If you go on his Pro Football Reference page in college, kick and punt returns come up before receiving yards. Hopefully, Velez Jones works out. Bears fans are very high on him. He's fast, but you have Darnell Mooney, Velez Jones, Equinemius St. Brown, Byron Pringle, Cole Kmet, David Montgomery.
But you look at this, like, they have the worst wide receiver core in the NFL. Mooney, Velez Jones, Byron Pringle. Cole Kmet is a bottom 20 tight end. They finished with the 22nd ranked offensive line, and they lost James Daniels and Jason Peters, who started 15 or 16 games, I believe. So now the new offensive line is Tevin Jenkins, a second-year player who was underwhelming in his rookie year, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, Dakota Dozier, who was the worst offensive lineman on the Vikings last year, and Larry Borum, who was a 6th-round pick last year. So this offensive line could be a bottom 25 offensive line. They were 22nd ranked this past season, and they have a bottom 25 defensive line. Robert Quinn is the only notable name on that defensive line. Everybody else is underwhelming.
No doubt.
And they did go all in on secondary in the draft by drafting Kyler Gordon out of Washington and Jaquan Brisker.
I'm excited for that.
But really, their secondary is still not going to be good. So really, their season depends on how big of leap will Justin Fields
great
take.
Is Justin?
I don't know if it's a hot take. I think Justin Fields on a different team next year.
Ooh.
You have him going 2-14. We're having him going 3-14. That's probably the number 1 overall pick.
So you think they draft Bryce Young and they don't?
They have so many other needs to address.
I think this happens. I think the Bears are absolutely abysmal this year. They potentially do get the number 1 pick.
Trade it.
Since it's Bryce Young that everybody wants, they trade back. They get assets and they still build.
You
around
also have to
Justin
remember
Fields.
this is a different GM and head coach who drafted Justin Fields.
Oh, you're right.
It's a different front office, so it's not like they picked Justin Fields. They're gonna say they're high on him because they have to. But I think you get the number 1 pick. They have a chance to get their guy. Plus, you reset the quarterback, so it's not 2 years in. Now he's year 1 rookie deal. I think they do it.
But I feel like they have too many needs to just feel like the quarterback is the fix for them.
But the thing is, Justin Fields is going to struggle this year. He's going to struggle.
No, there's a
He'll
chance,
show
yeah.
moments. He'll have a couple good games, but he's going to struggle. And then Bears fans are going to hear it from the media. Or you're going to have 2 years of a struggling quarterback when you have a chance to get Bryce Young, who everyone's going to hype up coming out of Alabama or whoever else ends up coming out.
Definitely
maybe
a way
CJ
better
Stroud.
prospect out of
I mean,
college.
Justin Fields was a great prospect as well.
Not Bryce Young though.
Probably now we have to see. Bryce Young has
Bryce
to finish it
Young's-
this year.
Bryce Young off
Bryce Young's
platform.
him.
He is, but
He's him.
Go look at Justin Fields at Ohio State.
Not disagreeing.
Please,
Not
let's
that
not-
impressive. I
let's
mean, I
not-
wasn't that high on Justin
I know
Fields.
Justin Fields was a great prospect coming out. But I think they're going to see 2 years of Justin Fields struggling and be able to move off him. Probably get a 2nd round pick, maybe 2nd and a 3rd in return. Sam Darnold got a 2nd round pick, so you probably get something for him. And then take Bryce Young number 1, and now your rebuild has started. They'll probably go out, get a receiver, some O-lineman, and now you start the rebuild.
But why
unfortunately, Justin Fields is kind of screwed.
But why not trade back out of that Bryce Young pick and then go draft Jackson? You know what I'm talking about. Ohio State receiver.
Oh, JSN?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have 2 years of Justin Fields struggling. So would you rather have the chance to get the number 1 overall pick, who you're going to see Justin Fields be on the field and really struggle for 2 straight seasons? You have a chance to get a new quarterback, give your fan base new hope. It's a new head coach and GM who's picking their guy. They're all in on one guy. Yeah. I don't disagree. I think it's a fine move, but I just think it's not going to be realistic. They'd rather trade Justin Fields.
From the Bears fans that have commented on the stuff that I've put out, very hurtful stuff that they've said.
Me too.
But they have said that
Stay away from that.
Bears fans have said that this year they already know they're going to be garbage. It's next year when they have a boatload of cap space that they can make moves to sign players to surround Fields with. So that's why I think that they trade out of that pick. They get multiple firsts and assets. They draft a receiver. They sign defensive players. They sign offensive linemen. And then the 3rd year is really when you evaluate Justin Fields thoroughly.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to struggle for sure this year, though. They're going to struggle.
Not looking forward to talking about Bears during the season. Not at all.
We don't really have to. I don't know.
Stuff.
Are we going to talk about them? I don't know.
I'm excited to watch Justin Fields.
If they're surprised, right?
I'm excited for Justin Fields and starting out Mooney.
Like
they had a real
David
connection
Montgomery's
last
my
year.
guy.
I know, and Mooney's my guy.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm a Mooney guy too.
Yeah, facts. And they had a connection last year.
I'm fake. It's a shame. I love that trio.
Yeah.
Those 3 guys,
It's dog shit outside
rock
of it.
with them. It's not it.
If you're on the Bears, but sorry.
On to the last team in the NFC North, the Detroit Lions. Now, last year they were 3-13-1. We know they're talented. They had one of the better drafts of any NFL team, drafting Aiden Hutchinson, then trading up to go get Jameson Williams, 2 guys who people expect to be cornerstone of their franchises for years to come. Now, they're talented. We know that. But will it lead to wins this year? Last year, they weren't the most talented, but they were in a lot of games. I said they are the best, worst team that I've ever seen. And I said that because they lost 6 games by 1 score last year against San Fran, the Ravens, the Vikings, the Browns, the Bears, and the Falcons. They added DJ Chark, Mike Hughes, Deshaun Elliott, Jameson Williams, Aiden Hutchinson, and they have the 13th ranked offensive line. I'm kind of high on the Lions this year.
This guy gets it.
I'm not high in the aspect that they're gonna make the playoffs, but they're gonna be an exciting young team to watch.
100%.
I wish they would have drafted a quarterback in the draft just to, hopefully, just like a swing pick. But you look at their offense: DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, Jameson Williams, DJ Chark. The speed of those 2 guys on the outside is crazy. Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the better slots soon to be. TJ Hawkinson, hopefully he's healthy. The defense we know is not that good. Aiden Hutchinson hopefully gives them that edge rushing presence.
For sure.
But their defense is not going to be so good.
Prayers for a Jeff Okudah breakout. Prayers.
Exactly. I'm just hoping the secondary is improved because they did bring in Mike Hughes, who was good for Kansas City this past season. Jeff Okudah is he going to be good? Like that, really?
Prayers.
Is he going to be
Who
good?
the hell knows?
Prayers.
Because if he's good, that changes a lot of things defensively for Detroit. But I like Dan Campbell. I like their coaching staff. I think they can surprise some teams. For me, I have them going 5-12 or 6-11. I have them around that area.
All right.
I don't think they have like this significant, crazy uptrend.
I don't know if that's high on Detroit.
That's not.
But
I don't think
it
that's
is.
high
It
on
is. I mean,
Detroit.
what do you mean they're doubling their win total?
Because I'll tell you what, Joel made me feel like I'm high on them by having
he had
seven
he had them
wins.
going 7 and
I have
10.
them winning 7 games. You telling me 6 games, which
Seven
I knew-
seems
I kn-
okay. You're high.
I knew they were in a lot of close games, but I wasn't sure. I actually was looking that up while you were speaking. When you told me that they lost 6 games by 1 score, it gave me that extra confidence to give them this extra win. Now, you said a lot of the things that I believe as well. This offense got a little bit more exciting. You add Jameson Williams to this wide receiver core, DJ Chark to this wide receiver core to pair with Moran, who was absolutely outstanding in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Defensively is where you worry. This secondary is not good by any means. You really have to bank on Jeff Okudah breaking out in his 3rd year now in the NFL. I really am hopeful. It's been unfortunate his story up until this point. He just can't stay on the field, but he's feeling good. He says that he's healthy. Hopefully it translates in his play. And Aiden Hutchinson getting drafted with the number 2 pick overall, like you mentioned, hopefully he really has a presence on that outside that makes offensive lines uncomfortable and rattles the quarterback, because then it can take a little bit of pressure off of that secondary. But I'm not going to bank on a rookie coming in and making that immediate impact. I don't see him as a Nick Bosa type prospect coming in where he's immediately changing defenses, changing defenses and really harming the offense. But overall, I do have confidence in the Detroit Lions. DeAndre Swift is one of the most exciting young backs in the NFL. I look for him to have a huge season both in the run and the passing game this year. And the fact that Jamal Williams is his backup is huge, because Jamal Williams is one of the better backups in the NFL as well. I already mentioned the wide receiver core, where last season we were talking about it being one of the more underwhelming wide receiver cores, one of the worst wide receiver cores, and now it's one of the more young, exciting wide receiver cores in the NFL with Amon-Ra, DJ Chark, and Jameson Williams.
Yep.
TJ Hawkinson, a top 10 tight end at the absolute worst, and you mentioned it, a top 13 offensive line last season. I'm looking for it to be among one of the best offensive lines this season. Now they have another year of experience together. It all is going to come down to whether Jared Goff can just be slightly above average. If he can be average, slightly above average, they can win 7 games for sure. I'm going to go through the schedule really quick. Week 1 versus Philadelphia, I have them losing. Versus Washington, I have them winning. At Minnesota, I have them losing. Versus Seattle, I have them winning. At New England, I have them winning. Bye week. At Dallas, a loss. Versus Miami, a loss. Versus Green Bay, a loss. At Chicago, a loss. At New York, I contemplated Detroit beating them twice. I did.
Chicago?
Yes, I really did contemplate, but I couldn't do it. I feel like we need to give Chicago a game, and if they were 1-16, that would have been absolutely insane. Not that it's crazy though. At the Giants, I have them losing. This one I was torn between. I really, really teetered with that one. I needed to give I feel like I've been giving the Giants losses every single
As
time.
you should.
Unfortunately. Versus Buffalo, loss. Versus Jacksonville, W. Versus Minnesota, W. At the New York Jets, I gave them a loss because I needed to give the Jets a win when we did our earlier rankings. And it's in New York. Jets are a new team. Who knows what can happen? At Carolina, I have them winning. Versus Chicago, I have them winning. At Green Bay, Week 18, I have them losing for a 7-10 record.
7-10. That seems high to me. I have them 5-12.
Six games
6
last year
games,
with with one of the worst defense in the league. Bottom 2 in terms of yards, bottom 4 in terms of points. Like, I think other way around, actually, I apologize.
Regardless.
And the
5.
fact that they were still in 6 games within 1 score, maybe it changes this year with a little bit of different team.
I don't disagree. I think the Lions are going to be competitive for sure. You know, they have a team that might not be as talented, especially defensively, but they obviously play with a shit ton of heart. Like, they take the persona of their head coach. Dan Campbell came first press conference, said we're going to be biting people's kneecaps off or whatever the hell he said. And the Lions took that and ran with it.
He's a legend.
They're going to be a fun team. Like, DeAndre Swift is one of my favorite running backs. He's one of the best dual threat running backs in the NFL.
For sure.
I am a bit worried about the receiving core because I don't think Jameson's going to be ready for week 1.
Yep,
And
fair.
I think it's going to be difficult for him to come in weeks 4 or 5 right into the NFL as a rookie. He was obviously insane at Alabama, don't get me wrong. But I think that might be a bit difficult because then after that, you're looking at DJ Chark and Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is not great. Like, they've had good seasons in the past.
Amon-Ra is him.
DJ Chark had 1,000 yards in Jacksonville one year. Amon-Ra had a great rookie season, but he did that a lot without TJ Hawkinson on the field, without DeAndre Swift on the field. When they were both on the field, Amon-Ra, it's a chicken or the egg. Did it take Amon-Ra to the second half of the season where he got accustomed to the offense in the NFL to break out, or is it because you just had much more opportunity because their two best offensive options weren't on the field? Their front seven still needs a ton of work, I think. Aiden Hutchinson is a huge upgrade, don't get me wrong. But we saw last year with Pittsburgh, TJ Watt was the best or second best defensive player in the league last year, and the Pittsburgh still had
They
the
made
worst
the playoffs.
I know. I'm saying defensively, they had the worst rush defense in the NFL. So just because you add an elite edge rusher doesn't always translate to having a great front seven or a great defense in general. The corners are unproven, as you mentioned. Jeff Okudah, I'm hopeful, but at this point, I can't bank on him being anything. Like, is he a starter? Is he just a depth guy? Can he even stay on the field? So I'm hopeful he could stay healthy to see what he could really pan out to be, that top 5 pick that they took on him a couple of years ago. And they did upgrade safety. They have Tracy Walker, signed Deshaun Elliott from the Ravens as well. So I think in total, I have them going 5-12. I think they'll be a competitive team. I think they'll be a fun team. I think they're a lot better than Chicago Bears. And I'm excited for them next season to, probably get a quarterback in the draft in a class that is a lot more talented than this past season and just build on this foundation that they have. A great offensive line, good running back. Jamison Williams could be a wide receiver 1. So I think for Bears fans, you should be excited for the future. You're a year away from being... Lions fans. You're a year away from being a year away.
I really just want to take this time to highlight how great Amon-Ra was. From week 13 on, and then we can end the show, no doubt. 12 targets in week 13 against Minnesota, 10 receptions, 86 yards, and a touchdown. Next week versus Denver, who Denver has a very good secondary, especially last season. 12 targets, 8 receptions, 73 yards, no touchdowns. The week after that, Arizona, 11 targets, 8 receptions, 90 yards, a touchdown. Against Atlanta, 11 targets, 9 receptions, 91 yards, a touchdown. Week after that, at Seattle, 11 targets, 8 receptions, 111 yards, a touchdown. And week 18 versus Green Bay, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown. Amon-Ra was insane to end the season.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift was out weeks 13 to 16, and Hawkinson was out. Give me 1 second.
Amon-Ra also had a rushing touchdown week 17.
Yeah, Amon-Ra is a very, very good player.
Hawkinson was out from week 14 on. So that's I do think Amon-Ra is good. I just think it came from an uptick in targets and volume more than anything.
And you know what? Fair enough. I'll level with you. But now that we just saw what Amon-Ra is capable of and how efficient he was able to be, I believe at least, especially given the fact that wide receiver is so much more essential, he is going to have a significant amount of looks this season.
Yeah.
Lock that.
Okay.
Lock it. I mean, dude, Amon-Ra was unbelievable. League winners in fantasy football for a lot of people.
And also,
and forget about just fantasy. He is going to see
good.
volume.
Yeah, no, he's good.
And also, the Lions playbook really opened up when Anthony Lynn was demoted as OC. So now that he's not there anymore, it definitely makes their offense much better. So I think Amon-Ra can have a big time year. DJ Chark can have a big time year. Jamison Williams when he comes back.
It's all dependent.
This offense is really good. Jared Goff
there it is.
has a chance to have an okay season.
I don't know if I'm ready to say this offense is really good. They have some fun weapons.
They're
have fun
exciting.
Weapons. Yes.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Very well said.
To recap our predictions, these are our NFC North predictions for the 2022 NFL season. I have the Packers finishing at 12-5, the Vikings at 11-6, the Lions at 6-11, and the Bears at 3-14.
I have the Packers win the division at 11-6, the Vikings 1 game behind them at 10-7, the Lions at 5-12, and the Bears at 3-14.
So for my final rankings, I have the Packers going 12-5, Minnesota Vikings going 9-8, the Lions 7-10, and lastly coming in dead last and might be the worst team in the NFL, Chicago Bears 2-15.
And fun fact, just another to throw this out there again, on Caesar Sports, 95% of the bets are on the under for the Chicago Bears. So most of the world is low on the Bears. We'll see what happens, but the Vikings do have a chance to win a division.
They do.
I hope they do, but I can't bet against Aaron Rodgers. I got to go with Green Bay.
Fair enough.
Again.
Took 3 years, but you finally learned your lesson.
Yeah, that's true. And, before we end off the show, because I know next basketball episode, I'm definitely going to give this take again.
So don't spoil it.
No.
No,
Because
don't
I need
spoil
to
it.
say this now. It's
In a football jersey?
Yes,
Are you sure?
I need to say this now. You know, Jalen Brunson is about to get a 4-year, $110 million deal from the New York Knicks. And everybody's talking about, oh, it's an overpay. Jalen Brunson's not a top 15 point guard. Oh, he's barely cracking the top 20. Maybe some of you don't even have him in the top 20. Well, get this. That's not an indictment on Jalen Brunson. That just goes to show how stacked the point guard and guard position in the NBA truly is. Some NBA players have spoken out about Jalen Brunson because everybody's talking about how much of an overpay this is. Mikal Bridges, y'all must not know how cold JB really is, LOL. He's not talking about Jaylen Brown. He's talking about Jalen Brunson. Desmond Bain commented, bro got game. John Morant said game. Jalen Brunson finished in the 90th percentile in finishing amongst point guards. He's one of the best finishers in the NBA. And without Luka this past season, in 17 games, he averaged 20 points and 7.5 assists per game. It might be a slight overpay, but guess what? As a Knicks fan last year, I watched Alec Burks be my point guard. Alec Burks.
He's not bad.
He's not bad, but it's Alec Burks. And
I would love for him to be on Lakers.
You would love a lot of players to be on the Lakers.
Shut up.
Respectfully.
Kemba Walker was my point guard. Alec Burks was my point guard. And
Emmanuel Quickly,
but, you know, it was mostly Alec Burks and Kemba because Tom Thibodeau didn't want to start IQ.
Don't disagree.
So in the past 2 years, I've had Elfrid Payton be my point guard and then Alec Burks. In the past 20 years, the Knicks have had no good point guard. Yes, I'm happy about Jalen Brunson. Now, does this make us contenders and playoff locks in the East? No. But does Jalen Brunson make us better? Yes. Do I think that's the only move we make? No. Jalen Brunson in the playoffs in the 3 games without Luka versus the Jazz he averaged 32 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. And he had a 41-point game and a 31-point game. People are going to say, oh, but it's against the Utah Jazz's defense. They're not good. They can't guard anybody. There were only 3 players this past season who had 40-point games against the Jazz. In 82 games, that was Devin Booker, De'Aaron Fox, and Domantas Sabonis. So for everybody knocking Jalen Brunson, oh, it's easy to score 41 on the Jazz. They're so bad. Only 3 players did it all season. They had a top 10 defense in the regular season. So it's not as easy as everybody likes to make it sound. Now, Jalen Brunson is going to be getting paid as like the 14th highest paid point guard. He's, to me, is like the 18th, 19th best point guard in the league. And in a couple years, when these younger point guards get their contracts, he's going to fall back right down to where I think he ranks. So is this a slight overpay? Yes. But this is a necessary move to get better. I love Jalen Brunson, and I know he's going to thrive in New York. And I had to get that off my chest because the Jalen Brunson slander is out of control. It's out of control.
I feel like people aren't really going crazy on Jalen Brunson as opposed to the fact that they're just not, as credit to our dear friend River Brown would say, it's not moving much of the needle for the Knicks at all in terms of really making a push towards being a solid competitive team.
This does make us a competitive team.
Are you guys a top 5 seed in the East?
Hell no.
The Hawks aren't a top 5 seed in the East after trading 3 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray.
That had nothing to do with what I was saying. I'm asking with Jalen Brunson, does this make you guys a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference?
The DeJounte Murray trade doesn't make the Hawks that either.
But I'm not talking about the Hawks.
You're not talking about the Hawks, but I'm saying that even though if it doesn't make us that, it makes us better. And the goal in the NBA is to get better.
I don't disagree.
And we got better.
I don't disagree
with this move. And Jalen Brunson is him. He's him.
Okay, all right.
He's him.
All right, there we go. That's a proclamation.
Now, okay, before we end the show off for real, though, let's just briefly go through like these moves that were made.
Why are we doing this on the football show?
Just to update the audience on what's happening.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do it.
Lonnie Walker, hold up. Let me go in order here. Right, so
yeah, that's a come.
Nikola Jokic agreed to a 5-year, $264 million Supermax contract with the Nuggets.
Super awesome.
Devin Booker also agreed to a Supermax with the Suns, $214 million over 4 years.
Good.
Malik Monk to the Kings.
Traitor.
DeAndre Jordan to the Nuggets. Isaiah Hartenstein to the Knicks.
Steal?
Yeah, of course. Victor Oladipo to the Miami Heat. Bradley Beal re-signing with the Wizards. Nicholas Batum re-signing with the Clippers. PJ Tucker to the Sixers.
Bastard.
Then you have Anthony Simons re-signing with the Blazers.
Come up.
You have Bobby Portis returning to the Bucks on a 4-year, $49 million
quick,
deal.
Anthony Simons, a great deal. 4 years, $100 million. That's an amazing deal. For that upside, I would do that 10 times out of 10. No disrespect. That's not slight at Jalen Brunson.
Getting 10 mil more.
And I would rather Anthony Simons.
Is there a gap?
There's not a gap.
There's not a huge gap.
And Jalen Brunson is proven in the playoffs, too.
But also at the same time, the Blazers are just not a good team. But I will say, Anthony Simons is like that.
Anthony,
he is
look,
very good at basketball.
I've said it before.
Really good scorer and can facilitate also.
I said it before. Anthony Simons is a superstar in the making. I love Anthony Simons' game.
Bro. He is
but then
very,
again,
very
his
good.
best season came when everybody on Portland was injured and they were a bottom dweller. And his stats were literally on par with Brunson, who had to share the court with Luka and was playing on a contender. So he was playing meaningful basketball. Daniel House to the Sixers, which is, I think, a good move. Mo Bamba re-signing with the Magic. Tyus Jones returning to Memphis. Joe Ingles to the Bucks. Wesley Matthews re-signing with the Bucks. Amir Coffey re-signing with the Clippers. Javon Carter going back to Milwaukee.
Shout out to you, Javon.
Damian Jones, 2-year deal with the Lakers. Chris Boucher returning to the Raptors.
Would have liked him.
Lou Dort, 5-year deal with the OKC Thunder.
Solid.
Dwayne Dedman.
For how much?
87, I think.
87, yeah.
Good deal.
At 87.
Good deal.
Dwayne Dedman re-signing with the Heat. Thaddeus Young re-signing with the Raptors. Then you have
Another one.
Would have loved.
Then you have Marvin Bagley returning to Detroit.
Go for
Patty Mills returning to Brooklyn. Jay Sean Tate, 3-year deal with the Rockets. Then you have Jalen Brunson, of course, with the Knicks. Lonnie Walker to the Lakers. Troy Brown to the Lakers. Nick Claxton returning to the Nets. James Harden and Sixers meeting on the weekend to negotiate his new deal. Fontes Anderson to the Lakers. JaVale McGee to the Mavericks, which I think is a great move. Kevin Knox to Detroit. Kyle Anderson to Minnesota. Gary Harris returning to Orlando.
That hurts. Would have liked Gary.
DeLon Wright signing with the Wizards.
That's
So
five
now
names
the
you
Wizards. So now the Wizards have Bradley Beal, Monte Morris, Will Barton, and DeLon Wright. And that was all that really that's all that happened today.
Noah Gallinari gonna be a Celtic. Manifest.
So next show is going to be Basketball Pod. Of course, we're going to recap all these offseason moves and stuff.
Sir.
So thank you guys for listening and or watching to episode 191 of the Pick Side Podcast.
Yo,
we're getting closer to
shout out to Muffins again.
Yo, shout out to Muffins. That's fact. Shout out to our boy Nick Dawson.
Yes, sir.
Take a look at the pickasidepodcast.com website. Check out if you want to buy some merch. We got hoodies. We got tees. If you guys are interested, give it a look. Let us know what you think. If you think that we should have something that we don't necessarily have, let us know also, all right? We're always appreciative of feedback.
So thank you guys for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Pickaside Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pickaside Podcast, and we'll see you next time.